What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Ian Wentz Show. I have a very special episode today and a very special guest, my good friend Ian Carroll.
Good to see you again, man. It's been so cool to see your hometown and see the studio.
I'm just stoked you can make it out, man.
Oh, totally.
You know, we talked about it when I was back in Austin, and people always talk. They always say, "Oh, we'll do this," but I'm glad you guys actually came out. It's awesome to see you.
Yeah. To be fair, I am guilty of that too. Often I have so many great ideas of what I want to do and like podcasts. I would love to I'll totally great idea, man. And I'm learning more and more and more to be like, sorry, I do not have time for that.
Yeah.
But you know, there's those people that you meet that are like, dude, you're a real one. And it's like, you make time for those people.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Thanks so much. Speaking of real people, you are the realest of the real, and I have some stuff for you. I watched Sean Ryan's thing and I saw him give gifts every time, and I was like, that's a really cool idea. So I also started to kind of do that. So right down there next to you, there's a black bag, and it's full of a bunch of goodies. And I'm gonna walk you through all of it.
I know some of the things.
Save the one for the last, but I'm gonna walk you through the rest of it. So dig in.
Oh, sick, dude!
All right, so there's two of them.
Here,
so,
let me.
So this is from a buddy of mine. His name is Bryce. He owns a local holster company called Teton Customs. And he's made me all of my stuff, dude. So that is, and you'll see why in a minute, but the colors on that, as well as the other one, there's another one in there.
These are actually exactly what I need right now.
Yeah, so
Now I know why you were asking me.
Now you know why I asked what kind of gun you had.
Yeah.
So we matched up the colors to match what you're about to pull out of there. I guess we could just do it right now. Might as well, because it matches. Oh, the shirt. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So we talked about making you a signature t-shirt for Patriot Gear.
Yeah,
because
dude.
you have been rocking official Patriot Gear for so long, and dude, we just appreciate
it's like my
the
favorite
support
shirts to rock
so much.
They go everywhere all the time.
Yeah, so that's your painting.
Dude, I'm gonna put this on right now.
Okay, awesome, dude.
I gotta put it on.
All right, hell yeah, awesome.
Waiting for this shirt to exist. It's like having it be my painting.
Yeah.
And the painting that I bring around with me in the car.
Oh, I didn't know you do that.
Yeah, dude, it fits in my van.
Oh, really?
That door that you saw that painting on?
Dude, that looks good.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Yeah, that so this painting that is like the
Yeah, so walk us through what the painting is, because I still don't even know. I just know how important it is to you, and we were like, we want to do something that's like very Ian. Your signature's on that sleeve.
dude.
And yeah, man. So walk us through
the
it.
background in the lettering is pulled from a painting that I did actually I think in 2013.
Okay.
It would have been when I was 17 or 18. I did a ton of art when I was younger. And it's not like it's not like anything super special, but
yeah.
I was really into graffiti art as a kid. And
Yep.
I went through a phase of making paintings of graffiti art words for my friends, my brother, of like words that represented them. And at some point during that phase, I found this giant door at a thrift shop that's like 8 feet wide long.
Yeah.
And I painted this giant painting that says The Wanderers on it as like just a fun word, good letters, sick S on the end, but also as like this sort of like creative, like soul kind of thing. And it just has lived like in garage and storage at houses I've lived in. It's just kind of made it the whole way. And
awesome.
So then when I was setting up my first studio, I was like, this is sick. And it goes well with the balance painting. And I just put them up, and then it became a part of my set.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was packing up to go on the road, I was like, you know what? That could fit in the minivan. And so now the Wanderers, this giant door and balance both go in the minivan with me, and they go with me on the road. And they're like awesome. My art. And so when you hit me up about maybe making a shirt, I was immediately like, dude, can I put my art in it?
Yeah. And I was like, no brainer. Yeah. And it's interesting because figuring out how to make it, because at first, the first iteration that we made, it didn't look like I wanted it to. It didn't quite pop. It almost looked like it was very bland, and it didn't do justice to the actual painting itself. So we actually, if you notice, we actually took like pieces of the painting and kind of blended them together. And
yeah, like little collage.
It's a little bit of a, yeah, it's a
this
little.
This is the top of the S right here, I can tell.
Yep.
This is part of the R, dude.
Yeah. This
is the W right there. And
but I really like how it turned out, dude. It looks awesome.
So sick. There's actually a piece of the A in the A.
Yep. So yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. There's a little bit more stuff in there. So you pulled one other thing out there. That's for Gigi.
Yeah, a little dog collar.
Yeah, man.
Oh, sick. I got to get myself an AR now.
Okay, so I think I've told you a little bit about my mag club. So I do a monthly mag club. There's some mags right there.
Big brother
so,
is
dude,
watching.
This one is the one that hasn't come out yet. It's coming out next month.
Dude.
It's for the founding. So every single month we come out with a mag that has something to do with a historical event in our country that month. So next month is the founding of the CIA.
That's legit.
And so, of course, I had to throw in Big Brother.
That's Big Brother from the movie, huh?
And of course, we had to put in all the elements of MK Ultra.
Yup.
Because that's what it looks like.
Yup. LSD.
And the special colored mag. So it's just a P mag. It's 223 556 300 blackout. You get an AR-15, you can run it through. But yeah.
Oh, sick, dude. I was just commenting.
I know. I wasn't going to give it away. So there it is. Yeah. So
it's
that's
magnetic too, and it snaps.
Yeah. So that's your Zincan holder.
Dude, that's legit. I actually literally have one to throw in right there.
Yeah. And it's sturdy. I mean, you could drop the thing off a building, dude, and it'll be solid.
I might just. Dude, we got some meat. First
form meat sticks and protein bars.
Hell yeah.
They're the best. They taste super good.
Oh, sick. And
Patriot flag.
Nice.
Had to hook you up with that.
Dude, throw it out the back of the minivan.
Yep.
That's what's up.
And I think that's it. Oh, and then the card, just the little card. Yep.
I'll save the card for later.
Yep. So anyway, just wanted to.
Oh,
yeah, and that's from Teton Customs. Yep.
Yeah.
So you can.
Dude, thanks, bro.
Yeah, of course, man.
I am stoked.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my next road trip is to go pick up the second Glock.
Well, now you're covered in
For the
holsters.
concealed. And these are both adjustable, huh?
Yeah, and we made them, and we made it, like I said, the color is meant to match the mag and the t-shirt.
Yup.
So just want to give you a little bit more of like because I know you appreciate more colors and things, and so I was like, let's do something, you know.
And this one, it looks like I can flip it and do inside the waist or outside the waist.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
This one is only outside the waist.
No, it's inside as well. And anything that
yeah, I guess this one's straight.
And anything that doesn't like if you're carrying a light or something like that, Bryce said he's totally willing to help you customize whatever you need.
Sick.
He does some awesome work.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, just want to hook you up, man. That's my way of saying thanks for taking. I mean, dude, you drove so far, and I couldn't be more stoked to have you
drive.
here. Yeah,
I know it's cool country.
So thanks for coming. Yeah, so here I got to say something though, because you talked about your minivan.
Yeah, dude.
Well, let's talk about the Qatari money, dude. Also, is it Qatar or is it Qatar?
I watched videos about it. It's Qatar.
It's Qatar.
Qatar.
Okay, so let's talk about your Qatari.
That's bullshit.
Let's talk about your
like
Qatari money.
Like, I'm from Mexico.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about your Qatari money.
I've been raking it in this year, dude. I have been raking it in, let me tell you. And once the checks started flowing heavy, I figured I should hit the road and like live road life. So I went on Craigslist and I bought a $2,500 Kia minivan, and it is the shit. We call her Minnie, and she is a powerhouse, and she's been across the country like 3 times plus now. Like literally from Washington to Florida to Washington to California to Texas, Tennessee, California, Washington, Idaho, and a few others in between.
Dude,
all my life fits in it. 2 dogs, myself, the girlfriend, like everything fits in her. Literally a door, a table, the whole camera setup, all the tripods. Now I've got a teleprompter and an extra camera and all this shit. Plus like clothes. I've got a big extra screen for my computer. I got my laptop. I got it all, dude. All in a minivan.
Okay, so the reason I bring this up is because I want to talk about the absolute absurdity that I witnessed. And honestly, like I said, we kind of talked about this a little bit. It was a little bit of a wake-up call for me as well. So, because I was in Austin with you, I don't know, was it 5 months ago?
Something like that.
Yeah, we went to the comedy club. It was super fun. Had a great time. At the time, you were staying at an Airbnb.
Yep. That's what I do is I Airbnb where I go month-long stays. You save a little money.
But it was so fascinating to me to, we hung out for a few days. It was super fun. Came out and I was like, this is one of the most like down-to-earth, genuine dudes I've ever met. And then to see, so that's like right before you went on Joe Rogan. And then obviously after you went on Joe Rogan, things just kind of like went insane. And all of a sudden now I start seeing all this stuff about people saying you're getting Qatari money and that you're an agent and that something about your bracelet and like all this other crazy stuff. And so 2 things. Number 1, it opened my eyes to how easy it is to create a narrative about somebody that you don't know.
Yep.
And it kind of made me walk things back a little bit about how I've reported stuff. And like,
same.
And because the reality is, I was like, dude, you guys sound like, if you only knew, you sound like such morons. I literally witnessed the fact that this guy lives out of a minivan.
Yeah.
Like him and his dog, because at the time you weren't even with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
It was literally you and your dog living out of a minivan. And that minivan looked like it was lived out of.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, dude, this guy has like pennies to rub together right now.
Yeah.
And yet here are all these people saying he's some rich, crazy agent. And I'm like, you know, it would be a pretty wild lifestyle to just like live a life like that when you didn't have to.
Well, I mean, I could like actually in a lot of ways I am living a life like that when I don't have to, because I could monetize my platform way more.
For sure.
Way fucking more.
Yes.
Like I blew up on TikTok, and TikTok pays good money for views, but you can also get good money for ads on TikTok. So in 2023, May of 2023, I started. And by May, June, July, August, by August, at least I was like, it was 3 months later, I was at almost 1 million followers.
Yeah. That's because of TikTok though.
Just TikTok.
Which is why when
I didn't
people
even have the other platforms yet.
Yeah, that's why when people say, "Oh, it's crazy how fast you blew up," it's like, no, dude, that's what TikTok was. Like, I know people that did that on TikTok.
And I was doing this whole BlackRock conspiracy grocery store aisle thing that was super viral, super fun, super interesting. I just put out a whole YouTube video about it just yesterday.
Yep.
People can watch that stuff. They can go all the way back. It's not hard. Scroll my TikTok all the way back to the beginning. It takes like 45 seconds.
Right.
And within 3 months there, like I was charging $3,000 easily for advertising. And I purposely only did advertising with family and founder owned brands because I didn't want to work with all the bullshit. I didn't want to support corporate. I didn't want to support, like I'm doing all this reporting about how mega corporations suck ass. And then L'Oreal is emailing me being like, "Hey, do you want to advertise for us?" Like, no, get wrecked. Like, no. And so I took L'Oreal's email and I was like, "Yeah, L'Oreal, I'll do a free ad for you. Here's all the lawsuits that L'Oreal's in for screwing their customers over. Here's all the horrible shit that L'Oreal's done. Here's like all their ownership is like just shat on them for a whole video, put it out for free and was like, there's your ad, L'Oreal, take it."
That's amazing. I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's like that's how I view advertising. And
That's
but at
awesome.
the same time, I was like working with family and founder owned business to be like, "Hey, if you can't do $3,000 for an ad, that's fine. Let's do 2,000 because I want to support you. You're a cool company. I appreciate you wanting to support me." And I worked with like 4 or 5 family and founder owned businesses, clearly disclose those ads in those videos. But I kind of got tired of it because I had enough success and I jumped to Twitter and I was just like, I'm used to being a poor dirtbag. I'm a rock climber and ultra marathon runner that used to work in kitchens and travel the world on like literally nothing. So I'm very familiar with being poor and I'm not stressed about having like a small bank account. And so I got to this point where I had more money than I'd ever had. And it was not a lot, but I didn't need to do ads. And I just didn't want to. It's like,
you're also not a materialistic person. You can tell just from meeting you once. Like it's not, you know what I mean? That's why
I'm an experiential person.
Yes.
And experiences are what you remember. Experiences are what matter.
I'm very much the same. And like, that's why when I met you, I was like, okay, I get this. Like, this is how I live my life. And it's like, it was just so funny to watch, to just watch the meltdown. Cause I'm like, you guys sound so stupid. And if you only knew how stupid you actually sound.
And you're right about it. Getting me to think twice about how I report on other people. Because I had been way quicker to pull the trigger on other people about like, "Oh, you're an op," or like, "You're weird," or "What's up with that?" But like when everyone's doing it to me and I know the truth of my own life and I realize like how many people burned their credibility in my mind of like, I could never trust your reporting again because I can see what like random strings you're throwing together to try to make up stories about me. And like, I know my life. So it just really got me to pump the brakes on like, if I'm going to report on someone or something, I should report it the way I know it, as in this source says this source says this. I heard this from this, whatever it is. It's like, but you don't really know other people. You don't really know the truth about most things. And then obviously working with Candace took that to another level because she is very experienced at like, you got to get it right when you're saying that the first lady of France has a dick, because otherwise you're screwed. And, fortunately she got that one right and she hasn't been sued. But like, you just learn over time how to play the game in a way where you don't burn yourself by being an idiot. And a lot of people that are like truth seekers and diggers came up with these wild Ian Carroll conspiracies that are just like, I like you, but now I can't trust any of your other reporting because I see how willing to put together random straws you are.
Yes. It's truly the term grasping at straws.
Yes. And there's 2 different things going on here. So like I go on Joe Rogan's show and a huge audience that did not know me before suddenly knows me. And it's like, he came out of nowhere, kind of. But there's 2 different things that happened after that, because one was legitimate truth seekers that are cool people that are rightly on the lookout for controlled opposition in plants. And that's a real thing. And we should be on the lookout for it. But I think a lot of them go about it in a way wrong way, but that's, their own choice. But then there's another thing that was happening. And that was that on Rogan, I, for the first time in some ways on Rogan, Israel really got criticized in a big way. And we talked about Epstein working for Israel. We talked about Whitney Webb's books.
Well,
we
you
talked
also dove into Pizzagate.
We did Pizzagate.
Which that one, I think that one was actually probably the buzzword that really took things off with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, it could have been.
Because most people don't touch that one.
Yeah. And we touched it right to the point, right to the heart of it.
Yeah.
And like
where it was enough, but not the fire hose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The stuff that's easy to check, easy to look up for yourself. And there's a lot there, a lot to dig up. And so there was a whole bunch of controlled opposition attacks on me. And that is the Qatari accusations. The people saying that Candace is funded by Qatar or Ian Carroll is funded by Qatar, Tucker's funded by Qatar, that is a clear propaganda tactic. And everyone that is saying that is clearly either actually on the take to spread propaganda, or they're ideologically on the take and so doing it of their own accord, or they're just fucking dumb. Because that's ridiculous. And I mean, like, I'm not going to show people my bank account, but like, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious to me. It's pretty obvious to everyone that knows me. Yeah. And also, like, you don't have to be paid by Qatar to oppose the bombing of children. You don't have to be paid by Qatar to oppose going to war in the Middle East, right?
Well, and by the way, we're going to jump.
You know who is paid by Qatar?
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to jump all over the place, but you know who is paid by Qatar?
Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, do you know who actually went behind, you know who's actually funding both sides of that? Benjamin Netanyahu. And you know how long he's been doing that for?
Years.
Long time. You know how I know that? It's because I watched the documentary, The BB Files, that is, you know, coincidentally, like, basically unavailable anywhere you go. Most people don't even know it exists. And then when you watch it, you're like, oh, this is the truth. Like, this guy is literally evil incarnate. Like, he is.
Oh, that's why we're at war in Israel right now? Because Bibi's going to get put in prison the moment the war stops?
Yeah. And we need to continue to keep that distraction up. And by the way, his whole country wants him to be in prison.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's not just like some people.
Yeah.
They all want him in prison. Yeah. And because how long has he been in power now? 25 years? Something like that?
Off and on. He was taken out of office for a little bit there.
And the fact that it shines a light on the how do you say Knesset? Is that how you say?
Yeah, the Knesset.
The Knesset.
Yeah.
It shines a light on his executives that he chose. So you have Smotrich, you have Ben-Gvir, you have like, these guys are the worst of the worst. They're you have
terrorists.
Yeah, dude, you have the former prime minister literally saying they are genocidal Jewish terrorists. I shouldn't have said that, but oh well, YouTube. It's the reality, though. Yeah. That's what they are, and they're not just saying that because of their ideology. They're saying that because of their actions.
I mean, the Kvetch party that Ben-Gvir went to jail was a part. Yeah, Smotrich. Well, he didn't quite go to jail. He was investigated and never went through.
But he was in.
Ben-Gvir was a member of the Kvetch party, the Catch party. I always mispronounce it.
Yeah,
Catch party, and it was founded by a Jewish terrorist in America, and it was a genocidal, like, ethno-nationalist organization that Israel deemed a terrorist.
Well, and dude, they have Smotrich on video multiple times saying that they need to ethnically cleanse the entire region, and that we're not afraid of the word occupation, and like, it's crazy, dude.
And look, if that's your stance and you want to defend that. Try your best to defend that.
Sure.
But what I don't get down with is the people that try to play all these weird propaganda games, all these weird
like, you can't have a conversation with somebody, and you have it always is like, anytime the conversation starts, the immediate talking points come up.
Well, you're anti-Semitic, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Or you must be funded by Qatar. Right?
Exactly.
And and we're just, America's so done with it. And that's the problem, is that every day more Americans are waking up, because we're just like, we've
been occupied,
not talking about it.
Yeah.
And you can only tell someone that the sky is green for so long before they look up. And that's what this whole Qatar thing is. It's like a last ditch effort to just smear them, just call them some sort of controlled opposition or something, and it's like, okay, guys, if that's really the tactic you want to take, if you want to just die on the anti-Semitism and Qatari money hill, be my guest, because we can all look at who's actually buying out Congress, who Congress is actually posting in support of, are we actually passing laws on behalf of. It's like, it's very obvious what's going on here.
Yeah, well, and also, you know, I got so much hate when the whole thing with Iran went down. The amount of hate that I got simply for just saying no. Just simply for saying, hey, this looks a lot like Iraq again. This looks a lot like Afghanistan. Maybe we shouldn't do this. This isn't America first, right? Just for saying that, the amount of hate I got, because immediately I was going against this narrative of, you know, MAGA, or whatever. And it's like, first of all, MAGA is not about a person. It's not about a president. At least it shouldn't be. MAGA should just be about the ideology of wanting America to be great and stand on its own legs.
No.
And when it came
That's
down,
what it was about when Trump
that's
came
what it was
about.
about. Yeah.
When Trump came up.
Yeah. And that's why so many people grasped onto it. But I think it also has gotten to a point where so many people have I said this the other day, so many people have become so hopeless and in actually fixing the problems of this country and fixing the fact that we are so highly influenced and there's so much corruption, and quite frankly, we are slaves to the system in a lot of ways, and it very much seems like everything is controlled. I think people have gotten so hopeless that they have created the idea of Trump being the last hope in their mind, and so they need a white knight.
I think that's a fair take. Yeah.
And I think that's what's happened with a lot of, and I'm not saying everybody, right? I'm not saying it's all of MAGA.
Broad
I think,
strokes.
yeah, for sure. But there's definitely like the extremist faction of MAGA where it's like, he can do no wrong. He can make no wrong mistakes. Everything is part of the plan. Everything is this operation. No matter what, we just need to trust what's happening. That is just blind loyalty and loyalism. And I think it comes from a need, like a desperate need for hope.
Yep. I agree.
Because
it's worth mentioning that it's happening within a very artificial internet atmosphere.
Oh, for sure.
Because Elon bought Twitter and freed it and turned it into X.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much bot traffic.
For sure.
So much controlled bot traffic from all directions, from all different angles. So like this report came out recently that like all the Zionists were like, look, see, Nick Fuentes is like all bots. He's like propped up by Iranian bot farms or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And you actually read the report, you realize that it was people that worked for the ADL that were funding this whole Israeli propaganda thing.
Yep.
But their actual reporting within the report was that like 25% of the traffic was deemed as inauthentic by another Israeli group. But 25% of the traffic deemed as inauthentic, that's like very par for the course in Twitter. That's actually seems pretty low in my mind for Twitter. And if you were to actually analyze the audiences of all of us on Twitter, like I would assume that I have at least 25% inorganic traffic. I would assume that everyone has at least 20 to 25% inorganic traffic. And I would assume that a lot of the propped up like shills that are just shilling political talking points have way higher than that. Right. And so it's like Twitter is a battleground that gets everyone to fight and hate each other and argue and argue and argue. And in that, there are bots just feeding every fire and feeding all this weird disinformation and trust the plan and like hate that person. And and they're very smart.
They're very smart. That's the scary part, because I'll notice the bots because I can pull them out pretty easy. But at the same time, when I see the comments on them, it's like, that's a really like thought out. That's an intellectual comment.
More and more now, I think we're not able to see them. I think that AI is rapidly advancing, and certainly there are lots of, because here's the thing is that not all bots are created equal, right? I don't have access to the same AI tech that the CIA has access, that Mossad has access to, that like some dude that wanted to pay for a bot farm to boost his account has access to. And so there are all different tiers of operations being like performed in the digital space. And I think that a lot of them we can see still. And I think a lot of them are way beyond that. And, you know, that's why I have sympathy or empathy for the people that are like calling me controlled opposition, because like at least they're thinking about controlled opposition. Like at least they're thinking critically about where the information is coming
that's
from.
a good point.
But that being said, like in this day and age, the amount of effort it takes to build up a real in-person influencer, to have an influencer that has a whole life that's like out here meeting people in in-person podcasts, to have someone like that on the take, like in a deeply covert way, that is very complex. And they have to have training. They have to have like multiple, like you can't just go out there and like do that with no skills. Right. And also like why, like for example, I've got people that call me a Qatar shill for Hamas and people that call me an Israel shill for Mossad. And it's like, I'm not sure why Israel would be paying me to go on Candace Owens to make a whole episode about the BB files, for example, or a whole episode saying that Epstein worked for Israel. So it's like, you know, I just think we need a little more critical thinking and a little less confidence that you know what's right. Because like for me, the most important thing is remembering that I do not know what's going on and I do not know what's real and not online. Like I don't know. I just try to work in probabilities and I really respect that about you, you know, because like I said, there's been,
I've definitely, I'm everybody's favorite conspiracy theorist, man. Yeah. Like I've definitely had some takes where I'm like, yeah, that probably wasn't it. There was probably a lot more to it. I'll give you a perfect example, actually. And I'm actually curious of your opinion on it anyway. So the whole new thing about AI tech executives becoming lieutenant colonels. Did you see that?
No.
Oh yeah. So they just made, I think it was 5. They made 5 tech executives lieutenant colonels, AI tech executives lieutenant colonels in the Army.
Like officially.
Like they are officially rank 5. So that just happened. You did not see that?
How recently?
With Palantir. It was like probably within the last week or 2. Yeah.
I mean, I've been pretty like nose deep in what I'm working on right now, so that's interesting.
We could pull it up. If
I believe you, and I can think of a number of reasons why this might be happening.
Well, so here's the thing. So immediately I jumped on it, and I was like, "This is insane." To go from rank 0 to rank 5 on Tech Bro credentials is pretty wild. Like the fact that would happen. But I will, and I said, like, if this isn't kind of a sign of them ushering in the ability to really, really control this thing, I don't know what is. And that's what I said. But then I'll be honest, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine who is in the Air Force. He's done a few different tours. Very level-headed and very like common sense kind of guy. Definitely not somebody who would say something out of pocket for no reason. And what he said was, you know what, dude? I get that it could be walking a dangerous line. But he said at the same time, if you consider that we are at war with these other countries as far as an AI race goes, because he's like, that is what's happening right now. We are in an AI Cold War. Yeah. And he said, America, the Army is full of boomers that know jack about AI. And the technology that China has versus us, as far as the Army goes, as far as our military goes, and actually being able to implement those AI systems, he's like, it's non-existent. He's like, it's not even that it's bad. It's non-existent. We are not tapping into it at all. And so he said, it's like anything else, man. Like, who do you call and what kind of ranking do you need to give them so that people will listen to them to actually be able to implement the things you need to and continue to fight in this race? And so he said, to be honest, I'm actually kind of happy it's happening because we need people that actually know what the hell they're talking about to get our idiots to listen and, quite frankly, to put their thumb on their face and say, this is what we're going to do because this is what we need to do. So it's a very fine line, dude.
Right. It's such a double-edged sword.
It's like, oh, I hate that.
All areas are gray. It's not black and white.
Right. And so, this is kind of my way of saying, like, if you saw that post of mine, this is my way of saying, like, hey, there's more to it. And that opinion actually kind of, I don't know, because I understand the importance of needing to inform, quote unquote, boomers of what's,
but see, that right there, what you just did, that is the mark of someone that you can have a conversation with. Someone who's here to seek the truth, someone who's here to learn, someone who's here to actually just like be a human.
Yeah.
And there's the people that can't hear a different opinion and change their mind and admit fault and like be like, maybe I got that wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
But your buddy's right. And you're right. It's so complicated because there's a huge faction on X, on the internet, that's like, all the technocracy is bad.
Yep.
And they're right. It's fucked.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're going down the tech road, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
And like, so I'm actually preparing an episode and a talk in Boise, all about robots, tech, AI, the whole shebang right now, happening next week. And like, for example, yesterday I was doing a whole bunch of research into drone swarms, into how small is the smallest drones that we know of right now? How small are the drones that DARPA is developing? What technologies can they? So right now, DARPA, I'm sure there's a lot more classified stuff, but you can look up the DARPA mosquito drone.
I heard about that.
Looks like a mosquito that has a little stinger.
Yep.
Drone swarms can now autonomously fly through forests at high speeds and figure out the trees on their own. You can have swarms of like thousands of drones working together. And that's just drones. And not to mention, like, and we've seen drones used in warfare.
Well, yeah, so much of what's going on in Ukraine right now is drone warfare.
Yeah,
I mean, the videos you see on Instagram that pop up are drones. Dude, I saw a video.
Terrifying.
I saw a video the other day. It's wild to me that we can even see this kind of stuff without being on like rotten.com. You remember that?
I do, actually.
Like when we were kids, rotten.com. Yeah. Well, now it's just the social media. But I saw a video that was literally point of view, one guy riding on a motorcycle with another guy, like a moped or something. Drone took the guy out in front of him, literally sawed him in half.
Yeah.
Right there. And like, you see it all.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, it's scary.
And that's just one of these technologies. Like drones are an existential threat technology. AI, obviously, not only is it an existential threat technology nation to nation, but it's an existential threat technology to humankind.
Yeah.
Then there's quantum computing, existential threat technology to mankind, not to mention nation to nation. And there's this whole weird rabbit hole conspiracy theory where apparently Google recently shut down their new quantum computer chip. And
I saw that.
There's some hush rumors about why that might have been. Very heady stuff, whole thing. But then there's like so many other layers, like robotics, prosthetics, it's kind of, and obviously digital surveillance, digital mass surveillance, and
which they're already using, by the way, in the Gaza Strip.
But so for example, so like horror, like all these like, yes, there's lots of issues, but also you can't ignore them to bury your head in the sand and pretend they don't exist. And a good example is we're talking about Twitter, and we're talking about all these bots, right? And how do you know what's true? We didn't even talk about AI video. And AI video, like right now, I can clone myself AI video and audio, and I can make a clone that my parents would not be able to tell the difference of between me and it. That destroys the truth. There is no more truth. Give it 1 year, there's no more truth. And the only solution to that is some way to verify that you're a real human. And that's a digital ID. And so suddenly you're back at the digital ID,
mass surveillance,
which is horrible. It's like there's no good answer.
But at the same time, it's like, what else? Yeah. So that I've been going pretty hard on AI for the last few weeks too, because I don't see, other than the issue of what's going on in the Middle East and what's going on with the AI race right now, I don't see anything else that's more important to talk about. Like, it's crazy because, especially with AI. So, I don't know if you have seen everything about have you seen what the CEOs have been saying about it and everything, as far as like, I can't remember who it was. I think it was
one of them just like tried to blackmail one of its programmers.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't Bard. It was, it'll come to me later,
but not even just that. Like, did you hear what, I think it was I want to say it was the former CEO of the Google, but I'm not sure. I don't want to like, don't quote me. One of them though, one of the former guys said that if you want to imagine what AI is, like a couple years from now, a few years from now, he basically said, when we go from AI to AGI, right, which is, the difference is right now AI is just pulling information that already exists based on prompts. Yeah. AGI is it's creating knowledge based on the knowledge that exists, but it's literally thinking. He said, when we go from that to that, he said, the best way to explain what the world looks like is imagine that the scarcity of knowledge no longer exists. Right now, everything as far as value goes, we value knowledge. Yep. Ultimately, knowledge is what creates money, creates all that. Like that's the main generator of any wealth. Is more knowledge than other people. Knowledge creates skills, right? Which all falls into it.
Or investment strategies or business plans.
Exactly. But you have to have the knowledge to be able to do it, right? Yeah. Someone does. So what he said was, imagine a world where that no longer is scarce, that everyone has access to the same amount of knowledge across the board. And he said, what is valuable? And then, to go to your point, now imagine that truth no longer exists either. So there's no more value of knowledge because there's no scarcity of knowledge. Yeah. Everybody has access to anything they want to know at any time. But then on top of that, there's no truth because nobody knows what's real and what's not. What is valuable and what do you do? And here's my conspiracy and my hypothesis, okay? Are you ready? I think we are ushering in an era where there's going to be class systems based on knowledge and not money. And I think that the people who ultimately control the knowledge are going to be the ones that, quote unquote, become the new dictators. And that is the tech lords.
As in, everyone lives in a false reality, different layers, different custom tailored.
More knowledge you have,
that everyone lives
more
in,
knowledge you have, the higher class you are, the more opportunity.
Truths.
Yep. And the people that are willing to toe the line and say the things that they deem okay, right? This is total 1984 stuff. But dude, that's where I see it going.
I mean, I think that I would challenge someone to debate you to argue that we haven't already lived in that system for at least 100 years.
But now I think it's going to become visible.
And well, it can become codified in the entire information space that is shared. I mean, so before it was codified in books and in what's published and in what's taught in universities and in all these classical media. But
That's a
then
great
the
point.
internet started to break that open.
Yep.
But the moment, like, we're at this critical turning point where if you can get control over the AI, the internet, and you don't have to necessarily control everything.
Yeah.
You just have to make it confusing as fuck. Like, make it all just a mass of misleading garbage, fluff, whatever it is.
That's right.
And yeah, you can stratify the truth into nothingness, because what is the truth? Like, who knows what the truth is? The truth is just, are you a boy or a girl? No one knows.
Well, and see, that's the thing. And that's what I'm saying is I can see them creating this system where it's like, based on the amount of knowledge you have that they allow you to have, determines whether or not, like, determines what you can and can't have and can and can't say and can and can't do in the world.
The thing is, I don't know if they can pull it off, because the technology is already decentralized enough. Like, you have to lock down that kid in Mumbai that knows how to program an AI on his own. You have to lock down the kid in Sydney, Australia. You have to lock down the Korean hacker. Like, it's a language, it's a code. Everyone can do these things. Like, yes, to train large AI models, to have like quantum computing, these things are, huge barriers to entry. But ultimately, the barriers are already fluid enough that I feel like there is I'm not saying it can't happen, but there's a wide open playing field. And I think it empowers the little guy more than it disempowers us at this moment.
At this moment,
to a certain degree.
I don't disagree. I think at this moment it definitely does. I mean, they're saying that within the next year or two, you'll have people that have PhD level knowledge and never having gone to school. Yeah. So
I think you already do, honestly.
Yeah, and I get that, but I think it will get to a point where it's so out of hand. And again, man, I've said this so many times. Once someone has all the money and all the power in the world, there's only one more thing that they can possibly get that levels them up, and that's control. Yeah. And the same amount of control that they want over the money system and over what people do because of how much money they have, I think it's going to get to a point where they want control over how much knowledge you have and what you're able to do because of it.
Well, I would argue that they've
Do you think they've already done that?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, think about the narratives that we aren't allowed to talk about. Think about the things that we can't touch, and think about how long it's been that way, and think about what the response is when you talk about the things that we're not supposed to talk about.
Fair enough, but they can't exactly switch off your life.
They can't switch off the truth anymore.
But I mean, I'm sorry, I'm saying like they can't really, like, this goes into like the whole idea of smart cities and things like that, right? When it gets to a point where everything is on a switch, they don't quite have the right. They don't have the ability to do that yet. And they can mess with you. Yeah. But they're trying to build it. So that's what my point is like, if it gets to a point where they do control the amount of knowledge real time. Yeah. I'm not saying knowledge from past or anything. I'm saying like real time knowledge and your ability to do or say things by just flipping a switch. Yeah. That's where I think it's headed. But then again,
that's where they want it to go for sure.
Well, yeah.
And then we need to fight that with everything we've got.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And that sort of is like the heady, like the higher level, issue that a lot of us are taking with digital ID, with digital mass surveillance, with all of these systems, CBDCs.
Because it's such a slippery slope.
And damn straight, oppose that till the day we die.
Yeah.
But there is all like the unfortunate double side of the coin that like, and I think that this will probably get spun on the internet of like, Ian's controlled opposition because he's arguing, like he's saying we should have CBDC. No. If you want to argue against a point, you have to have a counter argument to their legitimate points.
Yes.
Right. And so their legitimate point is that when you get that AI smart enough, what's going to stop the kid in Mumbai, the kid in Iran, just to use the talking point, the kid wherever, from asking it how to make a biological weapon?
That's right.
From asking it how to create an incendiary, whatever, an EMP device, or like target that one thing. The technological gateway is opening wide up to we have no idea what.
Well, and that's why it's so scary to think of what, like, I think it was Elon that actually said, he told another one of the executives in the AI companies, I wish I knew all these names. This is why you need to pull stuff up. But anyway, he basically said, and we could probably roll the clip in this, but he said, imagine the relation, or just picture the relationship with a human and a dog. And he said, AI is the human and we are the dogs. Yep. He said 10 years from now.
Yep.
And like, when you really think about that, it opens up everything so wide because there's so much nuance to it. Yep. Because it's like you said, we are going in that direction no matter what we do. Pandora's box is open. It doesn't matter what we do because now the world powers are in a race for it.
Yeah.
So no matter what we do as civilians, it doesn't matter. They're not shutting AI down. It's coming, and it's going to be I think it's going to be the greatest disruptor that we've ever experienced as a human race.
Absolutely. And it's a literal arms race.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we want to be the ones that actually figure it out faster. But then on top of that, it's like that comes with a price.
And the price is that Trump currently has in his ear all the top tech executives that are leading the charge, whispering really big numbers and really fancy things about golden domes and stuff. And that is Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, Sergey Brin,
Peter Thiel,
and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And these are not good dudes.
Yeah. Did you see the interview with Peter Thiel?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think the human race should endure?
Processing.
But
who lets that dude
Like-
out of his cell? Like, who lets him out of his
first
matrix
of all,
tank?
who gives these people the ability to think about whether or not the human race should evolve
Yeah.
or should endure?
Well,
I'm sorry,
I'm
endure.
sure that he defers to Israel on that point because that is Peter Thiel's perspective on anything sketchy.
But like, bro, if you go watch, it's like literally, it was like his brain started like malfunctioning. It was like the
he does
loading
it all
screen.
the time. Anytime there's a hard question, he just short
It reminded me of Zuckerberg, honestly.
Yeah.
It reminded me of any time I've listened to Zuckerberg in
Someone
an interview.
update the operating system, dude.
Seriously, dude, because
Or punch him in the face.
When
I
I-
mean, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just making a joke.
when
but
I first heard that interview, I kind of had to take a double take. I was like, is this real? Like,
Yeah.
is this guy a robot? I mean,
how would we know? Conspiracy theories.
anyway, but yeah, like I just couldn't believe what I was listening to. And so to your point, yeah, he's got, so let me ask you this. This is kind of a deep question, especially given all of what's going on right now. Your opinion on whether or not Trump is actually controlled, or do you think he really is just ignorant enough that he is sucking up, like, because we all know he is a freaking egomaniac. He loves to hear his own voice. He loves to hear his name. It's just how Trump is. And everybody that knows Trump, by the way, will say that.
I mean, that's how he got to where he is.
Yeah,
It's
so
like
it's not,
essential quality
and it's not,
for the man.
Yes, and honestly, that's why a lot of people like him too.
Yeah.
So I'm not dogging on him for that. Like that, it is what it is. But what I'm saying is, do you think that it's more probable that he's controlled by Israel, by whatever, or do you think it's more probable that he's just being heavily, heavily influenced by the people who are, and he's making?
I think the latter, personally.
Okay.
Right now, I lean towards the latter, and obviously I could be wrong, but I wanted to hope that there was some grand plan. Like, I wanted to hope that at least he had America's interest at heart and first, and that he would release files and all this garbage that clearly is not happening,
dude.
And the evidence showed that a lot of us were too hopeful, myself included, although I was never quite all the way down the bandwagon. But now what we've seen is, to me, it looks to me like he, it doesn't, I don't think that he's blackmailed by the Epstein tapes, personally.
You don't.
I don't think so.
I
And if he is, it would be far more complex than, like, how do you say this? A lot of people have a very simplistic perspective on blackmail. They think it's like, oh, you're on the tape. Oh, they own everything you do. That's never been how blackmail works. Bill Clinton was blackmailed by the
explain
Epstein
that
tapes.
more.
So
Explain that for
blackmail
the
is
average.
just,
Yeah.
well, think of it. Do a thought experiment for yourself. Suppose that you've spent billions of dollars, and I'm not speaking specifically about Trump here. I'm just speaking about blackmail in general.
Yeah.
Suppose you spend years of your life and all the money you have and everything setting up this crazy operation to blackmail all the teachers in your school, right? And then one of the teachers gives you a bad grade, right? And you're like, give me an A. I want an A. And that teacher's like, no. And you say, well, I've got all this blackmail on you. They're like, yeah, I don't care. What do? Because if you expose the blackmail on this teacher in this hypothetical situation, you risk exposing your whole blackmail operation.
Yeah, it's your whole
You
hand.
risk playing all the cards.
It's your whole
right?
hand.
It's like, what do you do?
Yeah, because you don't want to play your whole hand right away.
Because the other teachers were giving you A's because they were scared.
Yeah.
But then this asshole is not scared all of a sudden. So what do? And we kind of know for sure that Bill Clinton did this to Bibi. Bill Clinton had Jonathan Pollard, one of the most egregious intelligence leaks in American history, in prison. And Bibi Netanyahu wanted him free and extradited to Israel so he would not talk, whatever. I don't know. And we all know that Bill Clinton flew on the plane a lot, that Jeffrey Epstein went to the
White
White
we know
Office
Bill Clinton was one
White
of
House
the
17 times.
It's wild that guy's even walking
All
free
of
right
this,
now.
right?
It's insane.
But none of that ever came out because Bill Clinton also presided over the Oslo Accords.
Well, it
which
came out,
was-
but nobody did anything about it. The
What
Bill
came-
Clinton stuff about him being on Epstein and everything.
Well, but here's the thing: is that came out later with all the Epstein stuff. That came out when Epstein got caught. At the time, Bill Clinton was brokering peace in the Middle East, which the Israelis literally killed their own prime minister for doing. And then, well, like, you know, who knows which Israelis were behind it, but it was an Israeli that shot him.
Yeah.
And he had Jonathan Pollard going on. So these are two things that the Israeli deep state and government and Netanyahu's government at the time deeply did not like. And we know that the Epstein network had their claws in it. But what actually happened? This Monica Lewinsky scandal happened, right?
Yep.
And that is a lot more like a warning shot. That's a contained episode that's easy to explain it as like, oh, it's just this one little scandal, just this one little thing. It's not like we're sexually blackmailing like, you know, 90% of American politicians or anything like that. It's just Bill Clinton stuck his willy, like put a cigar in her butt or whatever it is. I don't know. Crazy story. Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, there's a real
back up.
I don't think it was her butt, but yeah, look up Bill Clinton's cigar, Monica Lewinsky. There's a whole thing. They got all these weird stories coming out. And there is reporting in the Times of Israel that Bibi Netanyahu acquired somehow 30 hours of phone sex from tapped phones in the White House of Bill Clinton having phone sex with Monica Lewinsky. And in the Times of Israel, it says that he allegedly tried to blackmail Bill Clinton with those 30 hours of phone sex conversations to get him to release Jonathan Pollard, which Bill still did not do. Right. But then the whole scandal kind of broke and it really tarnished Bill's career and it almost brought him down, sort of, maybe. But it didn't expose the whole Epstein network. So, right, you're in their school, you blackmailed all your teachers, and this one asshole teacher won't give you an A. How do you actually leverage your blackmail to like get this upstart to fall in line?
You got to work the other people, the other networks.
But then you have to think about how much more complicated it gets because in this case, like Trump very well could be a blackmailer as well. He very well could have blackmailed himself. He's like 80 years old almost. He grew up around Roy Cohn. He owned the Plaza Hotel. He owned Adnan Khashoggi's boat. He's been wheeling and dealing with all these dudes his whole life.
Well, see, and that's why, so that's why I tend to agree with you as far as I don't know if he's necessarily compromised himself or if it's more the people around him, because in my mind, I'm like, dude, the amount of people that Trump was around, the amount of times that he could have put himself in a compromising situation, it's like you would imagine that someone like Trump is smart enough to just say, if I really want what's on that island, I can do it in my penthouse and nobody knows a damn thing about it.
Especially because he was raised by Roy Cohn.
Yes. Instead of putting himself in compromising situation, because Roy was an expert of not putting yourself in compromising situations.
Roy was an expert at compromising the head of the FBI.
Yeah. He knew exactly where to put people to compromise them. And so having that guy as your confidant and knowing that
and Trump doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do drugs.
Yeah. So it just doesn't make sense that someone like Trump would put himself in that situation. And that's why it's more like believable that he's just being influenced by the people around him. So
but you know what he is he loves to make a deal. He likes big numbers. He's not terribly smart in the like intellectual, I'm not 80 years old way. Like he's an old boomer.
He's a boomer
that loves his hair and his deals and his family and his legacy. And that kind of a guy is really easy for Larry Ellison or Sam Altman or Peter Thiel to come up to and be like, hey, listen, man, this AI stuff, it's going to destroy our country, but we can be the best. We're going to put $100 million, like we're going to be the best in the world. America's going to be number one. We're going to obliterate them. Like you can just wow him with numbers and programs and policies. And like,
and all he cares about is being the best.
Exactly. He's not thinking about what digital mass surveillance is going to do to your rights or to like American sovereignty.
But see, that's such the interesting piece of all this, because when you get in conversations with people that are like, for example, QAnon or any of the people that are like trust the plan people, they believe that this man is like omnipotent. Like he knows everything. He's in front of everything. And I'm over here and I'm just like, guys, I don't even think he understands the history of the Israel-Palestinian conflict.
Oh, I doubt it.
I think he is just like every other boomer who has been completely propagandized from day one, and he truly does believe that they are our greatest ally. And he truly does believe that there's a black and white answer to this.
I don't think he believes that they're our greatest ally, and that's because he's been dealing with Bibi. And the way he dealt with the Iran conflict
but prior, do you think he
really interesting. No, probably not.
Still, okay.
I think prior he probably had less knowledge, right? Because like, why did, so he's in real estate, right?
Yeah.
He's done all kinds of real estate deals with Jews and with Israelis and with Zionists and everybody, right? Like Jared Kushner's in his family.
Yep.
He's like, the Adelsons are donating to him like crazy. Like like the Israel lobby, if they know one thing, it's they know how to give a lot of money to people that are going to have or do have power.
Right.
And, you know, Trump is going to love those people. And a lot of them, if they're treating you nicely and not genociding you, then they're great people, I'm sure. I'm sure they're wonderful, friendly
But
people.
you're with me in believing that, like, I really don't think he understands the conflict.
Oh, I doubt
I
it.
don't think he has any idea about Balfour, about any of that stuff.
I think he's probably learning more and more now because it's all over the internet. I know
it's just like
I know
Elon,
that JD
dude. When you
Vance knows
ratioed
more about
Elon,
it.
it's like, how does Elon not know that?
Exactly. Well, I mean, most people don't, and it takes a lot of time to learn. But then in dealing with them, like once Elon gets forced onto his like apology, like Auschwitz tour, I'm sure he learned a lot about it then, even if his hands are tied. And then Trump with the Iran deal, it's clear that Trump now understands Bibi in a different way. And I've got to say, I am very happy with how, like, I would have loved a different outcome entirely.
But you're
the
happy
whole
with how it
Iran and
shook out?
But yeah, it could have been so much worse.
I don't
and it's
disagree.
not necessarily over.
No.
I am still concerned that either there's plans being played out or Israel is going to try to drag us back in, or there's going to be a terror attack that is obviously done by Iran. But so I'm worried still. But the way that Trump dealt with it, where he gave Israel a symbolic win, like, see, we blew up their nuclear program for you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
And but he also saved their asses because Israel was screwed because they had started something that they could not finish. And he also gave Iran a symbolic win by, like, it kind of sounds like they probably got most of the fissile material out as far as I can tell. And like,
yes,
sort of didn't really take any like serious
in that
damage
way.
to the
I will
program.
say that I kind of believe the whole idea of, like, I mean, dude, this is one thing I do know about Trump. He is a freaking smart businessman. Yeah. He's definitely smart there. I mean, that's one of the reasons I voted for him. So, like, as far as the art of the deal stuff goes, I think he is doing a fairly good job as far as that goes.
That being said, he sent like billions more dollars to Israel and weapons right afterwards. So
and that's the part that, like, it's so hard to understand and so hard to decipher, because I swear every time I turn around, I'm like, okay, that was a good move he made. And then it's like, wait a second, why did he do that? Like, okay, you did a good thing here, but then why the hell did you do this? And that's what makes me think that it's not so much him as much as it is the people around him. And it's almost like the decisions that he's making that I agree with, it's like, oh yeah, that was Trump.
Yeah.
Like, that was Trump. That was the Trump I voted for.
Yeah.
But then the next decision that's made where it's like, no, that's not America First. That's not us. That wasn't Trump.
So I have a kind of hot take that's going to be probably really unpopular and misinterpreted a lot, but it kind of crystallized for me just now. And this is a very vague idea, but I feel like everyone that's trying to figure out what's going on right now, all the journalists, all the truth seekers, all the conspiracy theorists, everyone, we're arriving at wildly different takes because there's something missing. Yeah. Like, there's a piece of this puzzle that is missing. And to some people, it's the Illuminati running the world. And they've got this like conspiracy that's like at the top. To some people, it's just the bankers, the BIS, the Federal Reserve, and they're the ones really pulling the strings. And to some people, it's the aliens. Like, to some people, it's Q. To some people, it's, the like Satanist sex cult that's like blackmailing. Some people, it's the Jews, right? Like, there's all these different versions of that missing link that explains everything behind the scenes, because
in their mind,
right?
It's their own,
because if you don't have something missing that explains everything, no, what I mean is that it doesn't add up. What we're seeing in the public square does not make sense.
No, it's all very confusing.
Right? Like, the way that Trump came in being who he was, and then doing all the deals he's done, and like pushing the big beautiful bill and bombing Iran and appeasing Israel and doing the job, it really does not make sense. And it can make sense if everyone is just evil and greedy and corrupted and blackmailing each other, but like, it would make more sense, what I'm saying, if there was a missing piece of information that was not public information. And as an example, if aliens were real and they were here and they were working with the US government and there was some sort of technology and there was like, this is purely hypothetical, but suppose there's aliens that we aren't told about that are working with our government. There's aliens that are working with the Chinese government, and there's an arms race with alien tech going on right now that we don't know about.
Two different species.
Suddenly that would explain why the fuck we're doing this with our dollar, why we're doing this with our budget, why we're putting infinite spending towards war beyond just like the regular militaries, like why everyone can be corrupted. Like, what I'm saying is that, and I'm not saying I think that's true, I'm saying that I suspect there are civilization altering missing pieces, whether it's AGI or UAPs and aliens, or it's like literally a global cult conspiracy that's like the blackmailers are all one big like religious cult. Whatever that missing piece or multiple pieces is, I suspect that is the thing missing from all of our
and what's
theories
causing
and
all the confusion.
Because it does not make sense
No.
how much. Like, it makes sense how Israel could get so much influence over the US and have the Epstein network running and get so much money. But it doesn't really make sense that Trump would torpedo his own reputation around illegal immigration, right? And around like not starting wars, and around like over and over people get into power and then kind of change their tune, which is corruption. But I wonder, because we're at this precipice where we know of several potential civilization changing conspiracies, and just the three that I mentioned. Possibly there's aliens, possibly there's AGI stuff, possibly there is a global conspiracy of organized crime that is blackmailing everyone / cult.
Interesting.
Any of those would.
Do you believe
help
in aliens?
explain. I think they're more likely than not.
I agree.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though. I don't think that they're what the movies portray. I think the movies are just portraying what they want us to think. I think just from I'll even just say from my own religious belief, I believe they're just like us. I truly believe that everybody's made in God's image. I believe in God, you know, whether people do or not, like that's what I believe. And so because of that, I believe everybody's made in his image. But at the same time, you know, people look different, like different races look different. Right. So what's to say that this is just the aliens are not just other races from other planets, but they just look different. I mean, maybe their ears are smaller, maybe their noses are smaller set, like whatever it may be, because of that's how they survived on their planet. Right.
Yep.
But I don't think that it's like monsters. I think that they're probably just beings like us. But at the same time, I think that they're probably susceptible to the same qualities and the same intentions and the same desires that we have. And so the idea that they could be nefarious, or the idea that they could be a warring nation, right, is not far-fetched. And the idea that they're not is not far-fetched to me.
Almost impossible to know.
But I believe they're here.
Yeah.
I do.
And I think that we've been led to believe in this model of like they got on a spaceship on a faraway planet and then they flew through outer space to get here. And all of this stuff, even there's a lot of fake disclosure and alien misinformation, tons of it. Watch out for it. That said, it's all pointing to interdimensionality.
Yeah, time
and traversing like dimensions, traversing like realms,
time travel.
Yeah, like those sorts of things.
Yeah.
That is fascinating to speculate on, to ask questions about. And we don't know. Like it could be that some of them are beings of light and that they're like literally orbs. It could be that some of them are shape-shifting because like just can take our form. It could be that some of them are reptilian. It could be like we don't know, right? David Icke is going to hate me for saying that they could be reptilian. Love you, David.
Dude,
because like we don't know.
You and David are so funny.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I've believed this for years. I just poke back at him because he pokes me so much.
Yeah.
But like that's the cool thing about the alien question is that the Fermi paradox, if you're not familiar, is the paradox of why aren't they here? Because if science is right, then there's billions of stars out there, billions and billions and billions
it would make
of planets
sense that they're here.
And like if any one of those planets had a civilization just 10,000 years ahead of us, Lord knows where their technology would be, right?
And it also leads to the question of why we're not there. And I will tell you that for the longest time, this is one of those conspiracy theories I don't think you can talk me out of, which is I do believe that we left the planet at some point. I believe we got turned the hell around. I believe we got there and they were like, you go back and you never say a word again or we will wipe you out.
Interesting.
Because I believe that there's an absolute possibility that the moon or whatever is actually potentially a intergalactic.
The moon is weird.
Station. I think it is potentially an intergalactic station. You look at it, you look into all the craters and all these different things and how they're perfectly round, and like you look into some of the things about the sound that it makes when you hit it, and like all kinds of different things.
The scientists were trying to figure out if it's hollow or not.
There is an absolute. It's not.
I don't know what it is. But
I absolutely believe in it. I absolutely believe that there's the possibility that we saw something that we were not supposed to, and then we got turned around. And I'm not even saying this is like when we went to the moon back in whenever was that, because that I don't believe. That I believe was staged. But I do believe that we've gotten to the point where now we can send things there, and I think we got turned around. And I think that's the reason why space travel has been so weird. And I
could believe it.
Like, I don't know. I think that's why because to your point, why are they not here? Why are we not there?
Well, another possibility, sort of the same possibility in a certain way, is you're never going to get there flying in a ship.
Yeah.
It will take you so if you fly
we
right
need to
at
discover
light
time
speed,
travel.
think about how many light years away the nearest stuff is, right? And so even if you're at light speed, it's that many years away.
Unless it's the moon.
Thousands of years. Unless it's, the moon is right here. But what I'm saying is that in order for us to visit other star systems and other alien planets, right?
Yep.
You're never going to do it in a ship. It's going to be interdimensional. So it's very understandable why we are not there, because we're thinking about flying in ships. It's very possible that they're here, and that's kind of what we're all wondering right now. And why aren't we here? But it also brings up the other question, and this is baked into the Fermi paradox, and it's called the Great Filter, or a Great Filter, as in the question inherently leads you to ask, is there some reason why civilizations never evolved to be intergalactic? Is there a reason why the technological advancement to become spacefaring civilizations inherently leads to your own self-destruction?
Or, well, I was going to say, or did we? And did we go backwards? Because that's also, so anytime that Joe Rogan has people on where they talk about what is it called?
Younger Dryas hypothesis?
Tartaria.
Yeah.
Anytime that idea comes up where it's like we were once a very, very advanced civilization because of alien influence, but something happened that sent us basically back to the Stone Age, and then we continued to progress to where we are now. I don't know if for me, that's not hard to believe. For me, it's not hard to believe that we could have advanced that far or been given that knowledge from someone and figured it out. Because, dude, I mean, like he always goes into the pyramids and all these other things. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, you know what the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis?
No, please explain.
So this is what
What's it called?
The Younger Dryas, Dryas, impact hypothesis. And Graham Hancock is one of the most prominent speakers about this, but it's not his theory. This is a theory that's been worked on. Yeah, several of them.
Okay.
And this is the theory that it's composited from the work of hundreds of scientists around the world. And it has lots of different evidence that basically compiles to hypothesize that during the last ice age, a piece of a comet, probably the Taurid meteor stream, which we pass through twice a year, a large piece of this comet probably broke off and slammed into the Laurentide ice sheet, which is the ice sheet above North America, Greenland, and maybe Russia a little bit, somewhere around 12,900 years ago, and caused a massive melt-off, massive just like global, like what the fuck, wiped out all the megafauna and megaflora. Like America used to be covered in giant ground sloths. Do you know about those guys? Dude, giant ground sloths were as tall as this room. They were like 18-foot tall sloths that walked all around the Americas. Get this. This is my favorite factoid.
Wait,
ever.
this is real?
This is real. You can look them up.
Really?
Yeah. Look up giant ground sloth. There's lots of evidence. All kinds of skeletons.
And they look just like a regular sloth?
Sort of. They looked like a really tall kind of like anteater with a shorter nose, and they would stand on 2 feet. And here's total sidetrack. Avocados are a fruit, right?
Yeah.
So avocados are a fruit. Fruit evolved for the seeds to be eaten by an animal and pooped out somewhere, right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like fruit are supposed to be pooped, you poop out the seeds. Avocados are a fruit. Who the hell is pooping out an avocado pit? Fucking no one. And the reason is because avocados are what are called megaflora. Because avocados evolved alongside megafauna. Because avocados were the primary food source of giant ground sloths and all these other giant mammals that live in North America. And that's why avocados have such a big pit, because giant ground sloths were like 18-foot tall sloths that walked around that had basically no predators. And they just like ate avocados all day and pooped out avocado pits like they were little like grape seeds. What? And these giant ground sloths, and like,
where did you learn this?
It's all over the internet. You can just look it all up. So when you start looking into the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, you look into the last ice age, you look into what actually the Americas were like during that time. Short-nosed bears, like massive, bigger than grizzly bears. Saber-toothed tigers, deadly. Like just all these like buffaloes and crazy animals that were all over this continent. Mammoths, all of them go extinct.
Dinosaurs?
Like, all at once. Well, that's way back.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, but they also went extinct.
The like classical explanation that mainstream science gives for all of these animals, including saber-toothed tigers, short-nosed bears, and all these really gnarly predators, they say that that the ice started to melt slowly, and the humans crossed from Russia, came down into the Americas, and then the humans with sticks and stones, literally no iron, no metal, just sticks and stones, hunted all of the giant ground sloths, woolly mammoths, short-nosed bears, saber-toothed tigers. They hunted them all to death. Just like that. This is like are you retarded? Like, are you retarded? How many grizzly bears and cougars and deer and elk are still around? And we're clearly better at hunting now. Like, clearly that's not what happened. And there's also there's all kinds of other evidence. Like, there's a black mat layer that shows nano diamond spherules all across the world. That, like, basically there's a lot of evidence that a comet hit America 12,900 years ago and caused this crazy fucking flood, almost like a great flood, and wiped out a shitload of flora and fauna in the way that would also destroy a human civilization, maybe even carve out like some canyons, like the Grand Canyon, stuff like that. And you would wind up with a lot of the building blocks of a lot of these ancient civilization conspiracy theories.
Interesting.
I dig that shit. It's fascinating.
It's super fun. I mean, I like how we went from Clinton to Trump to Epstein to aliens to, I mean, this is why it's fun, dude. This is why it's always fun to get. Yeah. But no, it does beg the question though, like, what is that missing piece? And for me, dude, I don't know. For me,
it could be more than one too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But for me, the missing piece has always been the Epstein client list. Like, dude,
that's missing for sure.
But I mean, look, like, it's as you know, as cliche as that sounds, as simple as beating the dead horse is. But like, to me, it's very simple. We know that the man trafficked women and kids on that island to high-level elites for decades. Yep. We know it. It's not a question.
Not just on that island.
Not just on that island. All over the world. We know that it happened. And we know that high-level people were involved.
Yep.
And we still don't know who the people were that trafficked to it. And the only thing that I can come up with is anybody and everybody who is hiding it is on it. It's the only, like, I can't see. And then the other thing too, let me ask you what you think about this one. Matt Gaetz.
Oh, I wish that we had him instead of Pam Bondi. Holy shit.
So do you think Matt Gaetz was the key? Do you think, because the way I look at Matt Gaetz, very similar to Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Look at how that all happened, right? Yeah. What was it? It was sexual scandal.
Yeah.
And that's what ruined it.
Completely, when you really dig into that scandal, it was very fabricated, very artificial.
But it was enough.
Came out of nowhere.
It was enough to get him ousted.
Yep.
And it was enough to put Julian in a hole.
Yep.
And so I just look at that and I'm like, I don't know how else you can look at those two situations and say, that's what they did to Julian.
Yeah, I was so
they've perfected it. And that's what they've done for
Pam
Matt.
Bondi is such a ladder climber. She's such a controllable, like, pawn of a person. And I didn't know much about her when she first came in, but like, oh boy, it's a lot.
And you listen to what Matt is saying now and you're like, oh, okay, that's why you're not there.
Dude, imagine if that dude was AG.
Imagine.
Oh my God.
Imagine.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, he's saying what he's saying and he's been ousted. And then on top of that, we still don't have that list. We still don't have the files. They keep on giving us the runaround. They do the gay binder thing with the conservative, with Con Inc.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you know, you have, so let's dive into this because I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand, including myself. And I would love for you to explain it because I believe that the connection with Epstein and the blackmail operation, right, is paramount to this. But so many people are so unaware of that. And you're the one that kind of turned me on to
Whitney Webb.
Yeah. Shout out Whitney.
Yeah, dude.
One Nation Under Blackmail. They're two volumes. But they are so dense.
So dense. Yeah.
So
disclaimer to everyone. You got to read those books like 2 or 3 times to understand them.
But will you give like a high level breakdown of just help the average person understand?
I'll do my best. Whitney, I'm sure, hates every time I do this.
You don't have to, but
No, I'm totally will.
There's so many people that don't understand even why it could be conceived as a blackmail operation.
Yeah.
I know you can. Yeah.
So there's a couple different pieces and we kind of dig into each one as you want. As in, there's one line of reasoning of why is it that a lot of people suspect that he worked for Israel primarily. Mm-hmm. And then there's a different line of kind of like logic of why is it that we feel pretty confident that he was blackmailing people. And then there's a different line of logic of like, how do we just figure out who he was targeting and what the whole network.
So break down each one. Start with the first.
Jeffrey Epstein, it might be easiest to start with him blackmailing people.
Okay.
And that's kind of straightforward, honestly, is that when he was finally busted for real in 2019, they confiscated, like they actually like tore apart his homes, confiscated boxes and boxes and boxes of tapes. And they told us that there were blackmail.
That he was blackmailing. Yeah.
They told us what they took,
Yeah.
and they told us that his properties were wired up with cameras, and they just told us explicitly that it was blackmail stuff.
Right.
That's beyond the fact that he was put into place and apparently trained by blackmailers and people interested in blackmail, which will kind of come back through as we talk about who he worked for. But that is no real, like, there's not a lot of leaps in logic about him blackmailing because they just straight up told us and then kind of memory hold it.
Right.
But also when you look at who he worked for, came up with, was trained by, you get even more confirmation that it was a blackmail operation.
Well, isn't it true that they also arrested him and then
Yes.
let him go and then he continued to operate?
So Epstein started to raise red flags in Palm Beach area in Florida
with the cops
in the 2000s.
Yes.
And because, you know, I don't know for sure exactly which girls or women at the time like came forward first, but there was a lot of suspicious activity. There was a lot of reports about girls coming and going from his place. He was having these underage girls, these like high schoolers and maybe even some middle schoolers. I think they were all high schoolers for the most part. They were recruiting each other for him, and then he would pay them to recruit each other. So that was kind of getting out, and it was kind of weird. And some of them tried to raise alarms with like parents and teachers and some to the cops. And then this police officer, Joseph Carey, eventually got onto the case and actually started doing his job really well. And he started following all the leads and speaking to victims and accumulating testimony. And he had a police chief whose name I unfortunately forget that supported him and helped him like try to bring it. And when they finally brought the first charges against Jeffrey Epstein, it got squashed at the state level in Florida. And Pam Bondi was in the Florida state. I don't know if she was
Really?
She wasn't the AG at the time of Florida. She might have been. I don't know exactly what her position was, but she was there.
What year was it?
This is his plea deal in 2009, I believe, is when it was finalized. And Alex Acosta gave this famous quote, and I'm pretty sure that he was the AG of the Florida AG at the time. And his quote was, because he gave him this crazy like sweetheart plea deal.
Prosecutor. She's prosecutor in the Hillsborough County State Attorney's Office.
Yeah. So she was privy to this stuff.
Yeah.
At least aware that it was happening. And
hold on. In 2009, she ran for Attorney General. In December 2009, she left his position to run for Florida Attorney General. She was elected as Florida's Attorney General in 2010.
Let me just make sure that. So the plea deal was 2008 is why I'm getting that a little off.
Okay.
And that makes sense because Alex Acosta took a lot of heat, but then he moved up in the ranks.
Yeah.
Because Epstein gets popped clearly with all this evidence of soliciting sex from like down to like 13-year-old girls.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of incidences, dozens of victims, lots of evidence. And he gets this like cushy kind of like house arresty, like 1 year like sentence and didn't have to plead guilty and become a sex offender on the registry. I forget the exact details, and it was atrocious. And Alex Acosta at one point gave a quote that was essentially like, why did you give him the sweetheart deal? And I believe this quote came in 2019 once Epstein actually got arrested. And they were going back at Acosta and being like, why did you do that? And the quote was, I was told to leave him alone because he belonged to intelligence, as in intelligence agencies.
I remember hearing that. Yep.
Right. And so that piece of evidence is deeply significant, but it's just, in some ways it's just significant because it was so in the public eye and so prominent of a figure and so important of a figure saying it. But there's lots of evidence long before that of what was going on.
Right.
And that's why Whitney Webb's books are so enlightening, because they fill in so many details, both of Epstein's early life, the networks that he was brought into, and of the people surrounding him, and the testimonies, for example, of a man named Ari Ben-Menashe, who is an ex-Mossad agent that openly alleged in sworn testimony that Epstein worked for Israel and for Israeli intelligence. And so there's lots of data points that we don't need to get into all the little data points, probably better to rewind and talk a little bit about how Epstein got to where he is and who put him there, because that's very informative.
It was Lexner, right? Or Wexner.
Well, Wexner was his bankroll. So Epstein started as a teacher that he was not qualified to be a teacher, hired by Bill Barr's dad.
Yeah.
Right? Bill Barr being the guy that finally was overseeing, like he was he was the head of, not the DOJ, he was he wasn't the attorney general, right?
Bill Barr?
He might have been the attorney general when Epstein committed suicide in prison.
What year is this?
2019.
Oh yeah.
His dad hired Epstein
attorney general
at the Dalton School way back when Epstein was a little guy, not qualified to be a teacher. There was allegations that he was showing up at, the college parties, like being touchy with the girls, even back then. Then he got hired from that school into a bank that he wasn't qualified to bank at, though he was apparently very intelligent, by either Goldstein or Goldsmith. There's different theories about whether he got the connection through a female student's father or through a male student's father into Bear Stearns. It's actually kind of fuzzy for me now.
There's a lot of information.
Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure it's Bear Stearns. And was there banking for a while until this big scandal broke out. And that scandal involved him and the CEO, who he was kind of buddies with, who had brought him in. He wasn't the CEO when he brought him in, but he had risen. I believe he was the CEO when the scandal broke out. And Epstein departed and kind of took that scandal with him, and it kind of cleared everything up.
Right.
And they never really went to the top with it. And that's when he moved into this weird middle part where he was a bounty hunter for billionaires, he claimed, though he had no resume and no one had ever heard of him doing any trades or making any deals or managing any money, except for this weird woman from Spain that alleged that he had helped her father recover some a weird story. So he's got this gray area where he's managing money for billionaires, but no one knows what he's doing. He's laundering money. Is what he's doing. And he starts to get hooked up with organized crime figures, and he starts to show up around arms traffickers, specifically Douglas Leese, who I believe was British, but these arms traffickers traffic to and from everyone. And Israel is a big part of arms trafficking, as is the Middle East, as is MI6, as is the CIA.
So this just made me think of something, not to derail you, but in the BB files, it talks about the connection with BB and the Hollywood executive. What's his name?
Arnon Milchan.
Arnon Milchan. So he also had connections to arms dealing, right?
Yes.
Didn't he?
Yeah. Well, Arnon Milchan helped steal the nuclear weapons program from the United States and transfer it to Israel.
Is there a connection there?
There could be. It's hard to say. I mean, I probably swam in some of the same circles. My understanding is that Arnon Milchan is older and that he was doing that he was working as a spy for Israel in the 70s, I believe, but it probably was in the 80s as well.
Because it was the whole James Bond era thing.
Yeah. I don't actually know Arnon Milchan's backstory too deeply, so don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But probably a different operation. Could have swam in the same circles for sure. But it's Douglas Leese is one of the names that Whitney links him with a lot, but also with Anand Khashoggi, who is Saudi by birth from the Khashoggi family, Jamal Khashoggi, but also was known to be deeply enmeshed with Israeli arms trafficking. And Anand Khashoggi was famous for having his boat that he had wired up with cameras that Trump later bought, that he would do arms deals on this boat and ply people with young girls and liquor and drugs and film everything that happened on that boat. And Epstein was swimming in those arms trafficking circles and probably money laundering circles. And it's a lot of speculation. We don't really know.
Right.
And in that time period, he also linked up with Robert Maxwell, who by now had defected between 2 or 3 different countries from MI6 to working for Israeli intelligence. And he also got linked up with Ehud Barak, who for a brief period was the head of Israeli military intelligence, but also held all these other high-ranking positions, including Prime Minister of Israel in the 90s.
Yep.
And so that's when Epstein meets all these people. And that's when, during the 90s, I believe it was, after this period of what's going on, he gets linked up with Leslie Wexner, who runs L Brands, the Limited, which owns Victoria's Secret, Abercrombie and Fitch, Hollister, lots more. At some point in the 90s there, I think around 91 to 94-ish, I forget the year, Leslie Wexner signs over the power of attorney for his entire business fortune, money, for everything.
Yeah.
Entire power of attorney over to Jeffrey Epstein.
You don't just do that.
No. Meaning that one of the richest billionaires in the world gives this dude, Jeffrey Epstein, the power to sell anything that Leslie owns, to buy anything with Leslie's money, to, literally manage everything Leslie owns without him present, without his knowledge, without him
you don't
involved
just
at
do
all.
that.
Jeffrey Epstein's signature now stands in for Leslie Wexner's signature whenever and wherever he wants.
Yeah.
And A, that's retarded. B, that gives him the power to say, I didn't know what Epstein was up to.
Right.
That gives him plausible deniability. And Epstein then suddenly starts building this trafficking network, apparently, using Victoria's Secret as his cover and using money from the Limited to purchase these properties, to purchase the jet, I think, to basically build the financial base of this network.
Right.
And Leslie Wexner obviously didn't know anything about it. He had no idea it was happening. Although in 92, he also installed another pedophile CEO that was raping the young boys that were at Abercrombie and Fitch. He installed the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, Mike Jeffries, who just got off on the insanity plea. So Leslie Wexner just has bad luck in hiring, obviously, and just happened to hire two pedophiles to, run his two modeling businesses. And Jeffrey Epstein is now gallivanting around the world, posing as a Victoria's Secret modeling scout to take girls from faraway places and offer them like their big shot, fly them away to the island, and then, rape them with his buddies. And along the way, there's all these ties to Israel, to high-level Zionists like Leslie Wexner, for example, like Glenn Dubin. But then also, it's not like the network is exclusively Zionist and Jewish people. Like there is, for example, Jean-Luc Brunel is a French guy, although France is very deep in the deep state. But Jean-Luc Brunel is a French modeling scout that was doing all sorts of horrible stuff and recruiting for Epstein as well. And he got mysteriously suicide. He mysteriously committed suicide, I think.
When was that?
In 2021, I believe. It was after Epstein went down, and it was like, well, let's cover this up. I forget exactly what year he got popped, popped himself, obviously. But so this is a vast network, and I don't think that anyone is claiming that it was only Israelis or
it was multiple intelligence agencies
for Israel.
Yes.
These things operate in these shadows where lots of people know and lots of people are kind of getting angles, but it was targeting a bunch of Americans, a bunch of wealthy Western people, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton.
Top Americans.
Oh, yeah, Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
So 17 visits on record to the White House. And they were first... so Jeffrey Epstein was first brought to Bill Clinton's White House by a man named Mark Middleton. And you should look up the Wikipedia page for Mark Middleton, look into the story of Mark Middleton, find articles about how Mark Middleton died by, I shit you not, the reporting's a little fuzzy on how exactly he died because it was so weird. But it was a suicide, to be very clear.
Of course.
And the suicide involved him tied to a tree with hung from a tree and or tied to a tree with an extension cord.
I heard about
while
this one.
shooting himself in the chest with a shotgun twice.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Because he needs to not talk about what happened with his boy Jeffrey.
Yeah.
But anyways, Jeffrey Epstein visits Bill Clinton's White House 17 times, often with unnamed beautiful women on his arm. Bill Clinton flies on the jet, yada, yada, yada. And Jeffrey Epstein was clearly targeting tech billionaires, powerful politicians, celebrities, you name it. And he was not just doing sexual blackmail. This is one thing that Whitney does a great job of exposing that is really important to talk about is Jeffrey Epstein was also cultivating influence. He was donating to schools like MIT and Harvard and others. He was cultivating scientists by hosting conferences so that because scientists need money. They need money for their investigations, for their experiments, for their lives. And so he would host these big conferences and they would swarm to him like moths to a light with hopes of funding. And also scientists just want to hang out with top scientists. And so when you have like Stephen Hawking and what's Marvin Minsky, the real freak, allegedly, and all these other ones, like when they're all at these conferences, you want to be at this.
All the scientists are going to want to be there. Yeah.
Literally on Epstein Island. Like he's hosting these conferences on Epstein Island. And so he's cultivating multiple layers of intelligence assets. One is probably blackmailing people with underage sex. One is probably just technological favor, like cultivating interest in the tech industry that later transformed into what sets up a tech blackmail, like a tech-based blackmail network of you don't need to have a network of pedophilia suppliers and purveyors and protectorates and trafficking children is hard. A lot easier to just get someone to watch some child porn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Hard drives. Yep.
And stuff like that. So it's the blackmail networks have shifted largely digital and hacking based, and he was working on that as he went down. But he was also sort of matchmaking for very wealthy people. Like, for example, Glenn Dubin. There's some crazy testimony from Joanna Sjoberg, Sjoberg, who's one of the victims, who testified under oath that I guess I'm conflating two testimonies here. She has some crazy testimony, but the testimony that I'm thinking of are from the chef and the chef's husband that worked for Glenn Dubin, who is one of the close associates of Epstein. And they said that Eva Anderson Dubin, his wife, brought a very young girl into the apartment one day, and she was super distraught. And when she left the room, the young girl starts telling them about how she was trapped on this island and they took her passport and she was sexually abused and all this stuff. And then the wife comes back in and she shuts up and it's like over. And they were super uncomfortable, obviously. Right. And Eva Anderson Dubin is Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend of 10 years long. And then he matches her up with his buddy Glenn Dubin right before Glenn Dubin gets this great gig with JP Morgan, all this stuff. Sells his company, makes a ton of money. Jeffrey Epstein also, I'm going to forget her name, the blonde one. Johnny Vedmore talks a lot about this blonde chick that is like infiltrating the British stuff. Also, Jeffrey Epstein alleged, hard to corroborate, that he introduced Melania to Trump.
What?
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein alleged.
When? Really?
Yeah. He alleged, and I know you can't obviously, like, who knows? But
Melania was a porn star.
Jeffrey Epstein alleged that he introduced Melania to Trump.
Interesting.
And so that's this matchmaking thing. And those are just a few examples. And man, I'm going to remember that blonde one's name.
That would also explain a little bit, the people who are like, oh, he was on Epstein Island too, because there's pictures of him and Epstein. I mean, that would explain why was with Epstein those times with the pictures and things like that too.
Oh, they were buddies back in the day.
Yeah, well, I know that, but I'm saying, like, if he was basically matchmaking, that would also explain what you're talking about as far as, like, it's not all about blackmail because of child trafficking or child sex. Like, that could easily also be a bargaining chip.
Influence.
Yeah.
Just influence in all these ways. Scientific influence, educational influence, monetary influence, blackmail influence.
Yeah.
All of it, all of that is this network. And Jeffrey Epstein, let's be clear, was just one employee of a network. He was just one pimp doing one job. And ultimately, I would argue that the women around him, Ghislaine Maxwell, Sarah Ransom, and I'm gonna mess up the other two gals' names that are really big on that. Leslie Kroll. There's a few others that Ghislaine was never apparently like one of the trafficked girls of Epstein. She was more abused by her father, groomed into this role, and then matched to Jeffrey. And she was managing it in a lot of ways, it seems. And she was absolutely essential. And in some ways, just as guilty as him, because she's the one actually out there recruiting these girls, making them feel comfortable, making it this normalized, trying to like psychologically recruit them. And then these other girls that were originally trafficked by him that became his like wing girls. Did I get that name right? Sarah Ransom?
So you got, this is what I found. These four women.
Sarah Kellen. That's the name.
Yeah. Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, Ghislaine Maxwell.
So Sarah Kellen, a funny story. She changed her name and moved off. So like they did not get prosecuted. She was for like 10 years. She was like the personal assistant to Ghislaine Maxwell, took all the appointments, wrote down all the scheduling, knew everything, like phone numbers, books, who's coming and going, all of it, where the girls are, like deeply involved. And was apparently probably a victim early on that then kind of turned and helped. Hard to say.
Stockholm syndrome.
But then she just gets let off. Like no one even, like, as far as I know, no one questioned her. She never gave a testimony as far as I know. Maybe I'm an idiot, and then she just like changed her name, changed her life, and went and married a NASCAR driver and like was living in New York in a penthouse with a second penthouse in like Florida. Until just recently, he divorced her. And he's like, fuck this, I'm out. And she is now high and dry, and it would be a great time for Kash Patel to go and ask her some questions because she knows everything. I would assume she knows a lot. There's a lot of other people out there from that network that never even got investigated.
Simple, Cash said. It's not that
Apparently
simple.
Not.
There's so much that they have to protect.
I mean,
so
honestly,
much they have to go through.
I wanted to believe. I still want to hold on to hope. I do still want to hold on to hope. There is a legitimate argument to be made that I don't put a lot of stock in, that Jeffrey Epstein might be in witness protection.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all.
He might be.
I don't doubt that he's alive for sure. I definitely
Well,
don't.
here's the thing. If he's in witness protection,
I don't think he's dead.
but that goes awfully close to Q. Like that is
Really?
awfully close to Q.
In what way?
So I think you're thinking of it as in he's in witness protection so that to protect him, like because he's their buddy to protect
That's
him.
what I'm thinking. I don't think, yeah.
You wouldn't employ the official, I don't think, and obviously I'm way above my pay grade here. I am not a federal employee. I have no experience with witness protection or federal programs, law enforcement, any of it.
Yeah.
I'm
same.
just speculating.
Right.
But I don't speculate that you would use the witness protection official program to protect someone that is like a asset of the global cabal of traffickers, because that is just not the route you would take. You would just disappear him into the global cabal of traffickers, right? You would just name change and plastic surgery him and disappear him into a foreign country outside of the US government system. Witness protection, though it is effective at hiding people, it is used to it is used to build cases when you have a very high profile individual that has dirt that needs to be protected from people that will kill them. Like that's what you would use witness protection for. And if he was in witness protection, I could understand the argument, though I give less and less stock to it every day. I could understand the argument that this is the kind of case that you need to take years to build, and it's against the most high-profile people in the world that have incredible amounts of power, that you would need testimony from him. You would need to go after people one by one. You would need and that is kind of Q. The way that Cash and Bongino both just flipped on a dime as soon as they got in there, that is weird to me.
And also the fact that they was it Cash that just came out and said, we have footage. We know that he for sure killed himself. Like we have Gary.
Yes.
This is what's weird to me. And I made a video about this. I said, isn't it interesting that comes out right as AI is getting so good?
Bingo.
Because how easy would it be to doctor that video?
Oh, civilian AI, you could fool someone today.
Especially boomers.
Let alone good AI.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Let alone the secret AI.
Yeah, so I don't know. I struggle with that one, man. I really do, because it's like they flipped so fast from what they were talking about before. And the problem is I know a lot of, I don't know Cash or Bongino, but I know a lot of the other conning influencers that took the same route they did, where it was like, be very outspoken, be very pro-Trump, skirt, like just toe the line, then eventually get a position and a lot of money. And it's hard for me to see it any other way because I know some of those people and their intentions. And it's very much just to get the position and the power and the money.
Could be. But I hate to say it, but I do think that Cash and Bongino's resumes were two distinct resumes that both spoke to integrity to me. In a sense that Cash went against everything.
I felt the same way. Yeah, dude, I was stoked.
Cash was the voice of this narrative is bullshit. This is deep state.
I cannot tell you how many times I posted stuff about Cash being like, dude, it was all about him.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons why I was so stoked about the administration.
And Bongino always came across as a straight shooter. Everyone that I know in the industry that knows Bongino says he's a total straight shooter. And so it's very weird. Given Bongino is a Zionist, and he has been for a long time, and in a kind of weird way.
I have a really hard time taking anybody seriously.
It's true. But that being said, it's weird how hard they turned, how quickly. And so it gives me time to question and pause. And this is where everyone on the internet will take my words out of context and say, I believe this, or I believe this, or I believe this. Like I'm a Q, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. I'm not saying I'm any of that. I'm not saying I believe in any of that. I'm just saying that if you want to be an intelligent, rational person, you should just think about ideas and ask questions and be open to engaging with questions. And
and it's so weird. I know you have to deal with it way more than me or anybody else, but it's so weird that you have to clarify that every single time, because it's like, all you're doing is questioning the narrative and asking questions about each and every possible scenario. And it's rational that's what normal rational people do.
But the thing is that the internet skews towards simplicity. It skews towards fighting. It skews towards, click and rage bait. Yeah. And a lot of people are generally low information, more, I don't want to say small-minded, but just lower information thinkers that are busy with their lives and don't have the time to have the information and knowledge. And so it's the people that are thinking get it and they know what's going on here.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that there's a lot of options that we do not know. And it's important to think about all the options. And I love the Q people. I think they're fucking hilarious and amazing. And I don't mean hilarious like I'm laughing at them. I mean I think it's awesome and I love talking to them. And I don't necessarily agree with their takes, but I love that they're out here speculating.
Yeah.
I'm not of the mind that we should just be like hopeful that like trust it and like they've got it. It's our job to always be questioning, always be holding the powerful to account. And if there is let's play it out. Suppose Q is right. Suppose there's a Q thing going on. And there's all these like good guys that are in on it and they're like prosecuting the bad guys secretly behind the scenes. And Trump is like secretly behind this plot in some way. That's great. Cool. Then it's up to us to do our part and to keep criticizing, keep reporting, keep picking up breadcrumbs and keep being critical of the power. And if they're on that train and Q is real and they're like, to have Hillary Clinton in like already like dead for rights or she's been replaced or whatever. If any of that's true, then like, it doesn't matter if I criticize Trump. It's all good, dude. It's all good. They've got it.
Right.
And like, if I criticize Trump during that process, then I'll just be proven wrong when it all comes out.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But if there's any chance that is not true, we damned well better be scrutinizing. We better be watching. We better be criticizing.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, everybody's heard me say this. So for anybody that's listened to this a million times, beating a dead horse, but it's the truth. It's like, for me, I look at that as, it's very easy. There's two things. You're either a patriot or you are a loyalist. And when you are continuing to just give somebody a pass, when they are making decisions that go completely against not who you voted for, but what you voted for.
Bingo.
When they go against your values and your principles and the things that truly make our country great and America first and all these different things, when you are just allowing that to happen and making excuses and defending it, you're not being patriotic. You're being a loyalist.
You're being a sheep.
You're being a sheep. And you're just saying, I'm going to trust this guy no matter what, even if he freaking runs me down the AI hole. It's like, dude,
right off the cliff.
You have to be willing to criticize your officials and hold them accountable to make the decisions based on the values and the principles that you vote for. That's what we vote for. Yeah. That's what being a patriot's all about. And it's not about, like, when I criticize Trump, it's not because I don't like Trump. It's not because I still don't think that he's the best option. Like, I'm still very much
agreed.
I am still very glad that he's in power and not Kamala, right? And like, but
we all know what was behind Kamala.
Yeah, we all know what was coming there. But like, the reality is, it doesn't mean that you let off the gas and that you just get comfortable. And it's really interesting because me being in the space that I have been for the last 5 years and like being very involved in like the patriotic space and just like all about patriotism and everything, right? It's really interesting. If you guys are listening to this right now, like I know that you're going to resonate with this, even if you're one of the people that have done this. Those people that were so gung-ho about patriotism, they were so adamant about standing up for what's right and freedom and patriotic this and patriotic that. It's like, ever since Trump got elected, guess what's happened? You've let off the gas. And I'm talking to you right now. Yeah. If you're one of those people, I'm talking directly to you. You've let off the gas and you've gotten comfortable because now you don't have anything to lose in your mind. In your mind, everything that you fought for, you got back. Because again, you've created this hope that this guy is going to give you everything that you fought for years. But the reality is, we are the ones that give that to ourselves. And we are the ones that fight for it. And like stopping that fight just because you think that you're safe again, that's not what it's about. That's not how it goes. And like, that's what I see happening. Yeah. I see people getting comfortable again.
I mean, look around, right?
Yeah.
What have we gotten?
Yeah.
Right? We haven't gotten the documents we said we were going to get. We got a couple of JFK documents that were pretty hazy, but like Epstein still waiting on that desk. We haven't gotten the mass deportations that we were promised.
No.
We haven't gotten...
But we're being told that we did.
Yeah. We're being
The White
gaslit.
House Instagram page does a great job of making people feel like we got a lot of great things.
Like we almost got a new war. Thank goodness we didn't. I will give them credit for that.
Not yet.
Although, yeah, like that is a far from settled. Settled deal.
The ceasefire lasted.
We've gotten speech laws, plenty of speech laws, infringing on the First Amendment, which are highly concerning. We've gotten Peter Thiel directly straight mainlined into the American government. And digital mass surveillance well on its way, and AI overlords like Larry Ellison standing next to Trump on like day 5 talking about like mRNA vaccines that are modifiable to every person. Like so many. And then we obviously get the big, beautiful bill, which is this like giant mega monstrosity that I have not dug all into and I'm not well informed.
It's wild.
But it's wild.
$3 trillion more in debt in the next over the next 10 years, I think is what I said.
So it's just like look around and ask yourself, is this the Trump that stood on stage and shat all over Jeb Bush. I don't want your money. I don't need your money. And I'm not going to take your money. Like, that guy is not the guy that we currently have in.
At least it doesn't look like it.
It sure doesn't look like it. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because he's been corrupted. I don't know if it's because he knows things. I don't know if it's because that's just how humans work or what, blackmail. I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
You know.
Well, and so I kind of cut you off before when you were talking about the Epstein connection. So you covered, like, this is why it's easy to believe that he was not only blackmailing and that he was running in the blackmail network and that but what you didn't connect was, okay, so why is it that people believe that Israel specifically is so tied into that blackmail operation, and that might be what's pulling the strings and continuing this, quite frankly, military conquest across the Middle East that we just keep funding?
Well, at the start of this piece, it's always important to couch the fact that I'm not talking about all Jews. And obviously,
neither am I.
And that Jewish organized crime has a long and rich history in America. And you are uninformed if you think that is not true. Yeah. The word mob, classically refers to the Jewish mob, because the mafia was Italian and there was also an Irish mafia. The mob was Jewish. They worked together a lot. But like, organized crime is always grouped up racially because you need to trust the people that you're committing crimes with all across the country and world, because that's why we have the Yakuza and the Bratva and the mafia and the mob. And you know what nationality I'm talking about every time I say those things: the Crips, the Bloods, you know.
Yep.
And so gangs and organized crime forms along racial and religious identities, whatever's the strongest tie that binds, because you need secrecy to be upheld for the highest possible reasons. And the Jewish mob in America has a long and storied history, and they were deeply enmeshed in supplying the weapons that founded Israel, supplying money that founded Israel. They were deeply enmeshed in the founding of Israel. And so that's just to say that there is such a thing as racial organized crime. And when you talk about racial organized crime, obviously not all Italians are in the mafia, right? Duh. And if you talk about the mafia, you're not talking about all Italians, okay?
Yeah.
But when you look at a criminal organization and every single person in that criminal organization seems to be Italian, and then they're talking to the ex-head of Sicily.
Then you call it Italian organized crime.
Like, and the dude that's funding the organization is also one of the world's largest funders of Sicily. You start to think, maybe this has something to do with Sicily, right?
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Epstein was bankrolled by Leslie Wexner, one of the most prominent Zionist philanthropists in the world, like bar almost none. He was apparently handled by Ehud Barak, who visited him 30 times that we know of across a span of 5 years. And at a certain point, it was actually on a regular monthly schedule that he visited him once a month in his apartment, sneaking in and out. Not like the other guys that were like coming and hanging out for days, apparently. And like, no, Ehud Barak was like wrapping his face up, sneaking in, sneaking out kind of things. And we have photos of that. And obviously he denies all involvement in this. But he was the ex-head of Israeli military intelligence. He is one of the most decorated military officers in the Israeli Defense Forces, in the Israeli military in general, in all of Israeli history. He was the prime minister of Israel for a while. And he very much looks like Epstein's handler in terms of how close to this operation he was. Epstein was also recruited and trained apparently by Robert Maxwell, who we know was Israeli intelligence at that point. And then his daughter, who was groomed into
Robert
the position,
Maxwell was Ghislaine's father.
Exactly. Yeah. His daughter then helped. And actually, Julian Dory, when I went on his podcast, he made a really interesting connection that I did not put together before. That Robert Maxwell disappeared, mysteriously died. He fell overboard from his yacht in what might have been an accident, might have been an assassination.
What year was that?
Who knows? It was in the 90s. I think 91, I forget. Don't quote 91. But Robert Maxwell dies. And right around that same time period, Jeffrey Epstein comes into a whole bunch of money and this network gets set up, right? And it really is weird timing. And Julian was specifically pointing to the amount of money that Robert Maxwell laundered from the pension funds in his business. That was like the crime, that was the big scandal that was blowing up. And like, he mentioned a certain piece of reporting that I'm forgetting what it was, that like Jeffrey Epstein suddenly like wound up with this exact same sum of money through this other thing.
1991. You're right.
Right. Boom.
November 1991, mysteriously disappeared from his yacht.
So just interesting connections. And so that's just a few of the connections. Then we have ex-Israeli intelligence assets like Ari Ben Menashe directly claiming that Epstein worked for Israel. But then there's also just like the anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, quote unquote, that when you look at the people that promoted Jeffrey Epstein through the ranks, that surrounded him all the way from like the Goldbergs and Goldsteins and I'm not making a joke, there were 2 Goldsteins and 1 Goldberg, I believe, in the banking era of Epstein early on. I might be flipping the Goldberg and the Goldsteins there, but through those bankers and then into Leslie Wexner, into the arms traffickers he was working with, into the people around him in this network that were like the Leslie Wexners, the Glenn Dubins, a lot of those people that seemed to be on his team were, and not to mention the Louders, the Mega Group. There's a whole network through Leslie Wexner into the Mega Group, which very much looks like an Israeli, like philanthropic front company, so to speak, that was actually an intelligence asset. And Israel is well known for setting up private industry front companies like Paragon, which is a whole other thing. Many of them exporting their technological assets these days out of Unit 8200 into the private sector so they can work with all the governments and then like, oopsies, we spied on you. It's like well known. Like when you like,
well,
this,
and Israel is known as like one of the highest level, most sophisticated intelligence networks in the world.
Absolutely. And the CIA is very well aware that Israel is one of our greatest intelligence threats.
Yes.
And they have infiltrated, spied on, stolen from us more times than just about any other nation except for maybe China. And obviously, like, I'm not an expert on like deep intelligence, but it's not hard to look this stuff up. And the long history from like the Promise software scandal all the way through the Jonathan Pollard affair, the Numek affair where they stole their nuclear weapons program from us that they still pretend like they don't have, straight up to Jeffrey Epstein. And so it's like his network was a whole bunch of Jewish Zionist power players that had all sorts of direct ties to Israel. And like, he probably wasn't working for the mainstream US government because all of his targets were Americans, including our own president. So like maybe the US government, but like, come on.
Yeah.
There might be some assets in the CIA that were in there that were helping, that were working, but like, you know.
Yeah.
But then like nowadays you get dumbasses on the internet trying to claim that like maybe Epstein worked for Qatar, like maybe Epstein worked for Saudi Arabia. Like, bro, have you seen Arab-Israeli relations? Have you seen Arab-Jewish relations? Like, you think that the network of all the Jewish sex trafficking and money laundering was working on behalf of an Arab nation instead of the one Jewish state in the Middle East? Like, come on. And Dan Bongino, I think it was, had a clip from before he went in where he was talking about his source at Fox News that told him behind the scenes that like, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein was working for someone in the Middle East.
So I'll be honest,
we don't know who.
That clip, along with a couple others, is what made me think Bongino's freaking bot. Like,
I'm very confused by
when I saw that, I was like, okay, you know, like,
you gotta know.
You have to know.
Yeah.
And then it was right after that Matt Gaetz clip came out.
Yep.
Where Gates was it? I can't remember if
heavily implying Israel.
Heavily, but he wouldn't say it. He still wouldn't say it, but he was heavily implying it. Yeah,
the amount of power they have is so apparent for anyone with eyes and anyone with ears that it's like you have to be willfully blind, religiously indoctrinated, or like subhuman IQ to not notice what's going on here. So it's like we don't know for sure that he was working for Israel, but like to imagine that he was not working with Israel is a pretty far stretch.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's one of those situations where there's so many coincidences that it's like, at what point are there too many coincidences? To Q's point, right? Because this is what Q said for the longest time. At what point are there too many coincidences to be a coincidence?
Yep.
And
it's mathematically impossible.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where I see that. I'm curious of something. You know, you've had a lot of conversations with people when it comes to Zionism, when it comes to what you said. You said people are either willfully ignorant, religiously indoctrinated, or
I was being flippant when I said subhuman IQ, but kind of dumb.
Yeah, but so let's just go with the middle one though, because I'm curious. I think that the majority of people are probably more religiously indoctrinated, and that's why it's so easy to rile everybody up, because we all know that, you know, there's really two things that get people so incredibly riled up when it comes to conflicts, and it's race and religion.
Yep.
It's the exact reason why BLM happened. It's the exact reason why what's happening right now. Because personally, I believe that what's happened in this country as far as Israel versus Palestine is honestly the same damn thing that happened in this country in 2020 versus white and black. White and black was the testing ground. It was like, how can we get these people to be absolutely infuriated with each other to the point where they actually, like, I lost a 10-year friend because of who I supported and what I didn't support, all of a sudden he decided I was a racist after 10 years. I
lost all my friends.
You know how many times he came to my house and like I called his mom my mom and my mom was his mom, and like it was wild. He was my best man. Like that crazy. Sucks. But anyway, it got to the point where, you know, that's the kind of polarization that they created. And I think it was a testing ground for now. What you're seeing is something that is far advanced, because now you have the United States that is completely divided in a conflict that has gone on for hundreds of years, really decades, the main conflict. But yet people are so entrenched in their own camp. So my question for you is this. When you have that conversation, if you're ever able to, about Zionism and trying to help people see that they've been religiously indoctrinated when it comes to that ideology, as far as the current conflict, right? How do you address it?
I don't often actually have it in person because people don't engage that conversation with me in public unless they agree with me to a certain extent or are open to hearing it.
Okay. How would you address it?
But the way that the way I address any conflict is I never try to convince other people of my perspective until I listen to them. And this is why I don't do a lot of debates, because I actually, in almost all cases, would rather sit down and ask them lots of questions about what they believe. Mm-hmm. Because A, you're never going to convince someone by fighting with them about things. Mm-hmm. You're only going to make them retreat into their own defensive position. And B, you might not understand the perspective completely, and they might not understand yours. And people don't feel comfortable hearing you until they feel heard as well. And so you want to make sure you're hearing them correctly in their stance and understand their stance genuinely. But you also want to make sure that they hear their own stance genuinely and know that you're there for that, and that you're there for a real conversation, because it's so easy for it to feel like it's going to devolve right away.
Right.
And so to me, that starts looking like a lot of questions of like, why do you believe that Israel has the right to that land? And like genuinely curious. And if it's religious, asking about that, and what passages, why do you believe that? And so and obviously these questions can go very far down, and it's really easy to flip into at a certain point, like, gotcha, that's wrong. And I would argue that in those instances, to me, like the obvious one is like the Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson interview that just came out, where Ted Cruz is like and Tucker Carlson's like, it's in Genesis, which was hilarious. It's like, I don't actually know where the passage is. Ted had him talking to that night. Yeah. But that passage does not say Israel. No. That passage says those, like, what is it? Those who bless shall be blessed, and those who do not shall not, whatever it is, right? It doesn't say Israel. No. And actually, like, that Old Testament passage, if I'm not mistaken, was written before Jacob's name was even changed to Israel.
Yeah.
But I am no biblical scholar. I would love
what's the passage again?
To break that down. Genesis. And I don't actually know, because I am no biblical scholar. But
neither am
in
I.
that instance, because I'm not a biblical scholar, I would start asking them like, I heard this and I don't want to be misled, and I don't know a lot about the Bible. So what's your take on this on this other argument that I've heard from other people? And that can help to create distance and make it not as personal, so they don't feel like you're attacking them, but you're just genuinely asking, like, I'm curious how you would respond, because I want to hear your response.
Right.
And then depending on the response, be like, okay, I understand that, like, or I don't understand that. Try to really understand someone, because A, that will often get them to a point of being like, I thought you were a more judgmental person. And then suddenly you can be human with them. And B, sometimes you actually get to a point where they're like, oh, I don't actually have any idea what I'm talking about. And either outcome is fine. It's just like, or if you're in a debate situation, like the best way to catch someone in their own bullshit is to just ask them lots of questions.
Yeah.
Because like the ultimate thing about the Zionist stance is that it is all built on doublespeak and lies. And every single talking point, like, Israel has a right to defend itself. Does Iran have a right to defend itself? Right? Like, okay. Hamas are all terrorists, right? Okay. Like, what about Israeli terrorism? What about Jewish terrorism? Right? Yeah. Like, from the river to the sea is a genocidal slogan. Yeah. It can be, for sure. And some of those people that chant it are certainly wishing death to all Jews.
Flatly rejecting the existence
But what
of a
about the
Palestinian
Jews
state.
like what about Ben Gvir, who subscribes to the party that said we should eliminate all Palestinians? Right? Is this not equal? And like, what about the rapes? What about the prisoners? What about all of that is a crazy doublespeak. And the most obvious glaring one is Iran's nuclear program.
Yeah.
Right? Iran does not have a nuke. And we know they don't have a nuke. And we're arguing about whether they intend to make one and are going to and can. And even if they did, we all pretty much agree that they couldn't deliver it to the US. That's for damn sure. But Israel has a secret nuclear program that they are allegedly using to blackmail the whole world. Read the Samson option.
The Samson option.
And beyond that, they stole it from America.
Go ahead and tell them, what's the Samson option? Because I think a lot of people don't know what that is.
Yes.
What's the Samson option?
Allegedly, the Samson option, which Israel flatly denies, is the Israeli nuclear deterrence policy, which is basically a threat that if all y'all allies, if all of y'all don't help us defend ourselves and we face an existential threat, we will target all of everyone with our nukes and we'll just blow it fucking everyone up because we're not
if
gonna
we're going
exist.
out, everybody's going
exactly. That is apparently the Samson option. And I believe that Seymour Hersh was the one that really kind of broke that open the first time. And he wrote a whole book called The Samson Option, but other people have also reported on it to various degrees. And recently there were like leaked screenshots that Iran apparently like hacked Israel and got. I don't know anything about the
what's
veracity
real and
of
what's
those. I don't trust them.
That's the hard thing too with Israel and Iran, like the Iranian stuff. Because I'll be honest, there's some stuff that has come out in the last few weeks that I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Iranian propaganda. Like, but then there's other stuff that I'm like, that's not. Like,
well, that's the thing is that, for example, I like everything I've just said, like a bunch of the Zionist shills will say that all of that's just Iranian propaganda that you're repeating.
Of course.
Right. Actually, it's just logical thinking that any free thinking American would come to. Like, why are my tax dollars funding a foreign war? Why is Nikki Haley signing bombs that are going to drop on children in a foreign nation? Why do we have Randy Fine saying fill the streets with Palestinian blood on Twitter, but then like Nick Fuentes is debanked, right? Why is it like, why? I'm an American and I'm in America and I don't want any of that.
Why is nobody questioning the fact that it has been proven without a shadow of a doubt that Bibi Netanyahu literally funded Qatar?
No, he funded Hamas.
Or Hamas,
using
Qatar.
Qatar.
Hamas using Qatar.
Yeah. Propped them up because they were a destabilizing force in the region.
And he admitted it on camera in an interview. Yep. Why is that Iranian propaganda? Why is that not being talked about?
Well,
why is it also
apparently Bibi is spouting Iranian propaganda now.
Yeah, apparently. Why is it also not being talked about the fact that the majority of Israel wants this guy in prison?
Yeah.
And they are not happy with him.
Yep.
And the nation of Israel does not want to be involved in this. They literally have interviews of victims from October 7th saying it's Bibi's fault.
Yep.
And we don't even invite him to come to our town because of what he has done to us.
Yep.
And like they recognize the Palestinians as brothers and sisters while Bibi recognizes them as roaches. And it's like, why is no one asking these questions? And by the way, this is the other thing that drives me insane. Why is it that because I ask those questions that all of a sudden now I'm just a terrorist sympathizer? Why is it that immediately I'm seen as somebody who only cares about one side? It's not about caring about one side. As a matter of fact, if you want my true opinion, I don't want to be in there at all. I don't want to be involved in the conflict in any way, shape, or form. This is my flag, right? Like I don't care. I do care about the people, but the fact is, in my opinion, there's only one group of innocent people in this conflict, and it is the civilians caught in the crossfire.
Yep.
Both governments, both groups of extremists and radicals are just as evil. They're just as messed up. They've been involved in this conflict for way too long. There is honestly no solution, in my opinion. And trying to pretend like there is, and then getting involved in it as if we have the ability to create that solution, and even more so, being the ones that are supporting such an evil act of decimating this entire population is just, it's wild to me. And like any normal free thinking person who appreciates freedom over everything would get to that conclusion. And that's always been my argument with Zionism ever since I like really started diving into it. It's not that I believe all Jews that believe inherently that they deserve somewhere to live and exist are bad. I actually, everybody should believe that. That's 100% the truth. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually, you should believe that. It's the idea that because your religious text and your God said in your mind, like according to your text, that you deserve someone else's home, even though the people who live there already don't believe in your God, they don't believe in your religious text, they don't even understand your religion, they just have to believe that and they have to get out. And it's like, in the past, nations were conquered, and that's just how things were, right? Like that's how the world worked. You conquered a nation and now it's yours. That's what happened in the past. But when you fast forward hundreds of years later, that's no longer the way we operate.
Yep.
We go to war over things like that.
Yep.
And yet, this is the one situation where one group of people said, hey, that's our land because our God and our scripture says so. Oh, and by the way, these other superpowers, they're going to come in and help us take it from you after you take the land for them.
Yep.
And then you're not allowed to say anything about it because, sorry, that's just that's what God said. He's not your God, he's ours. That to me is the clearest definition of a violation of somebody's free agency than anything else I can come up with. And that's why it's like, if you are somebody who appreciates freedom, if you're somebody who is constantly touting freedom and patriotism and all the things that make America so great, there is absolutely zero reason why you should be advocating for somebody else taking away someone else's free agency based on a religious standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you can no longer be pro-Israel and pro-freedom.
No.
Simply for the reason that I'm allowed to criticize the American government and it is not illegal. That's called the First Amendment. But now criticizing Israel is classified as a crime.
Yeah.
Because of, well, it's not official yet, but they are working damn hard to bring those regulations in and make them law. And already, if you criticize Israel on college campuses, they can have their funding pulled. And so it is already seeping in that we are protecting any criticism of the nation, the government of Israel, as though it was anti-Semitism against all Jewish people is insanity. And that is like, if you're willing to sacrifice your First Amendment rights in order to protect a foreign nation and their petty little feelings, you're not pro-freedom.
No.
And this is an argument that the Zionists made, well, the non-Zionist Jews made all the way back in the beginning of the 20th century when the Zionist question was coming up in the Jewish communities. Not all Jewish people were for Israel and for the Zionist project. And the Zionists that argued for the project, like they had a lot of deliberations and there was a whole bunch of scheming and a whole bunch of, conferences that were held. And Herzl, famously is like the helm of that ship. But there was a bunch of Jews that were speaking up saying, this is not a good idea. It will, yes, we are wanderers. My understanding is that some were making the religious argument that God did not tell us to stop one. Like God did not give us land right now. That's not how the scripture reads. And my understanding is that some other ones were just making the argument that it's just a bad idea, like intellectually speaking. And I think we've watched that argument play out in the most obvious way. Because now the unfortunate truth for Jewish people, for all of us, is that now that we have this singular government that was founded by the mob, the Rothschilds, and a whole bunch of Israeli and Jewish terrorists, they weren't Israeli yet, Haganah, Irgun, Lehi, look them up. When that's the nation that was founded by those people, and that nation is now the only hope for the Jewish religion, and it represents all Judaism around the world, and every Jew has to swear allegiance to it or else you're a self-hating Jew, and suddenly you have embroiled your entire religion in this government project, in this faraway land that's based on ethnic cleansing and taking land from other people that originally welcomed you in. That is such a shitty place to put everyone in, and to have it be based on this infinite war against this Osama bin Laden directly told us that he did 9/11 apparently because of our support of Israel. Everything is so tied together over there because of this Zionist project. And Jews are so tied into it unfairly because now they are linked to it whether they want to be or not. And even if you speak out against it, then you're ostracized by your own community. And if you go along with it, then you're complicit in genocide, and then the rest of us are looking at you. And then we're all one, because now, unfortunately, here's the really delicate part. The anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
There is a lot of anti-Semitism.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of genuine anti-Semitism. There is. But here's the really critical, delicate part is we would never hire a Chinese national in our government, right? You wouldn't do it.
Nope.
You would never do it. You'd be an idiot. You would never hire an Iranian national. You wouldn't even like, you would even have some questions if you hired like someone from one of our allied nations that was, you know,
tied into intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it.
And we have tons of history of Israel stealing military secrets, stealing technology, infiltrating us, spying on us, all this stuff. And so now every Jewish person, we like, look around Twitter. You can clearly see how many Jewish people have their allegiance to Israel before America, or at least before like truly America first.
Yeah.
That will flip on a dime for Israel over America. And take Jonathan Pollard as just one example in the real world of like a high level government official that betrayed our nation on behalf of Israel because of his Jewish heritage. And so it's like, that sucks for Jewish people. That's not their fault.
Right.
But it's just true that when you make this one other nation that is heavily involved in espionage and spying and intelligence, and you make them representative of the religion, and you tell all Jews from birth that they need to support Israel with their lives and all this, suddenly you've just made all Jews potential co-conspirators. And like, to no fault of their own, like, Jews have been ostracized and wandered the world and like are their own niche, their own group. And so they are in grouping for reasons that are understandable. But all of those things are the elements of like if you're going to work together and you're all going to stand with Israel like above all else, then it's like, how are you going to call people anti-Semitic conspiracy theorists when we're watching Jews all group up to back Israel? And obviously it's not all Jews. It's just, that's this impossible position that you put Jewish people in, that like I have to remind myself every single day that I log into Twitter that it's not all Jews, because on Twitter, there's Jews everywhere just spouting insanity in support of Israel. Like, literally, there's this one dude that keeps on posting I assume they're Israeli Jews that are posting in Hebrew, that are like literally openly posting, now's a perfect time to bomb America to get them back into war with Iran.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That's
I think
you
Chris
don't
Burnett
think
is
you
his
don't
name
think that's
posting them?
propaganda? You don't think that's like bots? Because that was my first thought when I saw that.
It could be, but I based upon the videos that we have seen of how certain Israelis think about the world from their own mouths, from their own actions against Palestinians, their own actions against Americans, like their own action, like, I have no doubt that there are Israelis that think that way.
You know what's interesting? Did you see? I appreciate that perspective, because I think it's really important. Did you see? What's his name? What's the dude's name that took out Bin Laden?
I don't remember his name.
Robert O'Neill. Robert O'Neill posted the other day. I'm actually going to pull it up because I got to read it. I don't want to butcher it. But what was really funny is that he posted this, because I was like, wait a second. Who wants to tell him? Like, you're the guy that took out, Bin Laden. Robert O'Neill. Oh, shoot.
That's the tragedy too, is the last Iraq war. It's like, how'd that go? We sent a whole bunch of Marines over there to guard poppy fields for like the opioid epidemic, like to enact regime change so we could enrich the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
Like,
so here's what he said. Let me just pull it up. Oh, no, he deleted it. Bro, are you kidding me right now?
Spicy.
He deleted it. I swear I saved it, but anyway, we'll have to look it up. Maybe we can find it and put it up, unless he did delete it. But it said something like, am I the only one that's starting to notice all the ties to Israel with all these conflicts, and something along those lines? And I was like,
that's the kind of tweet that he might delete.
I was like, who wants to tell him?
Well, that's the thing that everyone is unfortunately starting to notice. And it is, I firmly believe that it is important that we always remember it's not all Jewish people.
It is. It's important to, yes.
Because because everyone deserves a fair chance as an individual. Everyone deserves that liberty. But also, like, it's just so essential that you don't become the thing that you condemn.
Yes.
And I think that that's the real tragedy of Israel, is that they have become the thing that they allegedly, are a response to, which is the Holocaust, although that is propaganda, because Israel was a project long before the Holocaust. And the Lehi group was trying to partner with the Nazis in order to bring more Jews over here. Whole other story. But like, Israel's behavior towards the Palestinians right now, it's obviously incomparable, because like the Holocaust was horrendous. Even if you're one of the ones that believe that like it was exaggerated, or there was like, if you're one of the ones that wants to like dig into the specifics of the Holocaust, cool. It's still horrible.
It's still a horrible thing, no matter which way you shake it.
And we have more than enough evidence that some really horrible shit happened during the Holocaust, regardless of your take on what exactly it was.
Yep.
But what's happening right now in Gaza is a captive population that cannot leave, that are being starved to death. The water's being controlled. They're being sniped. They are sniping children while they scramble for food.
They just put out a report. I posted about it. The Hertz whatever came out. Over 400 civilians have been gunned down at food sites. Not only that, did you see the most recent one about the opiates?
No,
brother, you're going to want to pull this one up. They just proved that, and Israel admitted to it, that they have been lacing the flour with oxycodone to those civilians. It was in the last like 4 days that came out. I just put a video out about it. Go check that out. Type it in and you'll find it'll come up right away. They literally admitted. And here's the best thing too. There was another report that came out about them gunning the people down, the civilians at the aid sites. And guess what Israel said? You know what? I'm going to find this because I have it in my freaking phone. Look at this, dude.
Wow. 4 days ago, there's a whole bunch of reporting on it.
Yeah. Watch this. Type in here. Let me do this actually. Let's see.
That is depraved,
dude.
And that's after bombing the entire thing to rubble. And like, what was the report recently that over 400,000 civilians cannot be located? Like, we have no idea how many civilians they have killed.
So the reports say 50,000, but they're thinking it's more as in.
Well, the reports as in that's how many are confirmed dead.
They're saying close to 400,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's on top of the ongoing war where they had like for almost the entire occupation, which is like 70 years, they have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, uncounted numbers of Palestinians in prisons with no charges, with no trials, with no due process, with no rights. Like they had more hostages in Israel from Palestine than Hamas took on all of October 7th all along. And like, obviously what Hamas did on October 7th sucked too. That's horrendous. That's horrific. Like super fucked up. And I love that the BB files showed the footage raw and showed how raw it was and how fucked up it was on October 7th.
Right.
To remind you that yes, both sides can commit atrocities and it's atrocious both ways. And you don't need to embellish it with like made up stories about beheaded babies or babies in ovens or whatever else. You can just show the truth. And that is horrific enough.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to, you have to hear this to believe it. I'm going to pull it up because you literally have to hear the words to believe that they actually said what they said. But it's, they basically, Israel came out and said lessons learned. From what they're doing. I gotta find this. I have to find this and show it to you because
that's so my initial thing when I look something up like that is I look for who's reporting on it and how much reporting on it is there, and then I start digging into what does it all say, and I immediately notice like there's a lot of reporting on it, and then I look into who's reporting on it, and I'd have to look longer to be like, oh, for sure, but it seems pretty obvious that this is going on.
No, there's a lot, dude. There's a lot on it. I can't. I'm not going to try and look it up right now. Anyway, I'll find it later and I'll post it in this video. But basically what they said was Israel admitted to doing it. They admitted to gunning down the civilians. And the whole thing was in quotes.
We know they're gunning them down.
And in quotes, it was lessons learned. That's what they said. That's what their response was. Lessons learned.
Yeah. Well, the problem with Israel, one of the problems with Israel over here for me is that Israel is not only a whole moral quandary, but it's also a testing ground for ideas. And the West Bank is where a lot of this happens. And we all talk about Gaza so much, but we are ignoring the West Bank so often right now because in the West Bank, there's a different captive population that they are experimenting on in many ways. And the most obvious and present one is digital mass surveillance. And Palantir has been testing software there, as well as all these other Israeli tech firms that are testing this sort of like digital Big Brother constant surveillance system.
Yes.
I think theirs is called Blue Wolf.
So this is something I feel like a lot of people don't know about, and I would love for you to explain it more because I think Palantir and the connection there and understanding the mass surveillance system that's already in the West Bank, that's basically a testing ground for the Americas, that's super important. So kind of break that down for the average person to understand.
So the West Bank and Gaza are distinct entities at this point that have distinct semi-political structures that are basically non-effective intentionally. And Israel has worked hard to cultivate non-effective governments in the two zones differently. And so in the West Bank, there's all these little territories that Palestinians like own, separated by all these Israeli zones that they own, that the Palestinians, it's fucked up. It's already a problem, just the way it's divided, the way it's ruled. And then the settlements that are illegal, that are ever encroaching, that Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, two of the highest ranking officials in the Netanyahu government right now, both come from illegal Israeli settlements.
And there's more and more every day.
Yeah, and Smotrich actually is one of the settlers that moved outside the borders of his own settlement in order to settle more land. And right now there are ongoing reports of more villages being burned down by Israeli settlers moving further and further into Palestinian land, because that is the ultimate goal, is all of the land, destroy Amalek, take all of the land, for many of them. Not necessarily all of them, but definitely for the settlers, which is like the farthest right extremists of the nation.
Yes.
But in the West Bank, there is this policy of containment and surveillance for Israel's safety, obviously, where there are cameras everywhere, every street corner, huge banks of thousands of cameras. And you can look this stuff up. Look up West Bank Israeli surveillance. Look up West Bank Israeli technology. And the whole world of surveillance technology has operations going on there. Like Google has offices there, Palantir has offices there. Everyone's really in on it. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and these things have changed over time throughout the conflict. It's like in terms of exactly how much of American companies' presence is there right away. But the reason is because you have a captive population that has basically no rights, is a two-tier justice system that you can kind of have free reign with. And they have all the excuses to run digital mass surveillance on them as though they were enemy assets, as though they were all terrorists. And that's what they do. And they have this massive program of cameras feeding into facial recognition software that are basically, you need a testing ground for a digital mass surveillance state. And right now, the West Bank is that testing ground that is extremely valuable to the global tech industry that is all racing to develop these technologies. And the Israeli tech industry is one of the most powerful in the world, one of the most advanced in the world. And they have an explicit policy that they export their intelligence assets out of their NSA, which is called Unit 8200. And they export intelligence units out into the private sector to found private companies. And these companies, like there are dozens and dozens that we know of, are repeatedly embroiled in scandals. One of them was the NSO group, which created the Pegasus spyware software that was made famous by when Jamal Khashoggi got chopped up in the embassy because they had used Pegasus spyware to infiltrate his phone, because it's a zero-click. It infiltrates your phone without you clicking any links, no text, no nothing. You just it's in your phone. All of a sudden, you can't tell it's there. It can control your phone, take all your data, take your location, turn on your cameras. Allegedly, it could basically completely take your phone over without you knowing at all.
And the CIA created that?
No, Israel.
Mossad created that.
NSO group, which is ex-Unit 8200. It's one of these Israeli intelligence units that got exported to a private company called the NSO group. They developed Pegasus software, and then they sold it all around the world for like $1 million a pop. And it was used to kill Jamal Khashoggi by someone. But then just more recently, just last year, this whole scandal broke out in Italy around this software called Paragon, which is very much a descendant of Pegasus from a different company. So the spyware was called Graphite, and it was developed by a company called Paragon, who Ehud Barak was one of the co-founders, along with Ehud Schneerson, the ex-commander of Unit 8200. More good dirt for them. And what they were doing is they were using the Paragon spyware to essentially sell dossiers on all the highest bidders and infiltrate the Italian government, but also Lord knows exactly what happened. And it's still ongoing, but it kind of is getting swept under the rug. And I haven't checked back in on it in a month or two, but if you look up Paragon, spyware, Italy, you'll find all sorts of reporting, including things like the Vatican being in on it. There was the Italian police they bugged the offices where this was happening, and they recorded instances of Israeli intelligence assets coming to the offices and tasking these guys that were Italian people with jobs for them. And apparently there was a conversation recorded where the Vatican wanted a deal that was $1 million project to get some dossier on someone or something. But it's all very fuzzy. But what we do know is that another Unit 8200 group, another Israeli tech export company that is being used as though it was a private company to do intelligence operations. And then when they get caught, it's like, oh, it's just a private company. Whoops, no big deal. Even though Ehud Barak, the guy that was like Epstein's handler, just so happened to be a co-founder of it. Like, so.
And then Peter Thiel is connected to it because Peter Thiel owns Palantir, and Palantir. Explain how Palantir is connected to Paragon.
Palantir took investment money from Jeffrey Epstein directly. I'm 90%.
No, I think you're right. I think I remember reading that.
But also,
how are they connected to Paragon?
They're not connected to Paragon. They're just in this same genre of like this new era of tech firms. Okay. Palantir is founded by Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and a whole bunch of money that came from lots of places, Jeffrey Epstein being just one of them.
But they have tech in the West Bank, don't they?
Yes, they test stuff in the West Bank. I'm not entirely aware of the extent of that, but Alex Karp and Peter Thiel both have very awkward stances on Israel that are very hard to watch because they know how unpopular it is. They know how dumb it is. You can look up their stances from their own mouths of Peter Thiel saying like, I'm sure I basically just defer to Israel. The way he just like short circuits. And Alex Karp is even more whack, where he is just like, there's a quote of Alex Karp saying on stage, our technology is used to kill people. He's very weird. But Palantir, you got to mention while you're talking about Palantir, and I wish I'd known more of this like 2 years ago when I started, because it took me a long time to learn the depth of all of this. Peter Thiel is like JD Vance's number one backer.
Right.
Yeah. Peter Thiel inspired JD Vance to get into tech, and then he funded his entire political career. And I like what I've seen JD Vance say. Yeah. I like what I've seen JD Vance do.
He seems like a good dude. He seems like a family dude.
But that's exactly the kind of guy that you would want to put there, and and maybe like, I don't know, maybe JD Vance is like secret Skull and Bones, controlled opposite, like a whole like, secret agent. Maybe JD Vance is actually who he is, and he thinks he's doing good, and he's a good guy, and he just doesn't really like, maybe he's been selected for that reason. And there's favors and hooks in him, and there's stuff that like, later on down the line, JD, you're going to get called.
It's kind of the idea that some people are just too good. They just don't see the nefarious actions around them.
I just can't help but notice Peter Thiel funding his entire political career, being good friends with him, literally the tech industry. It wasn't Peter Thiel, but there's reporting from multiple sources that puts David Sachs and other tech billionaires suggesting to Trump that he choose JD Vance as his running mate. And this Netflix documentary that just happens to come out. He gets his book deal that there's questions about whether or not he wrote it. Yeah. I suspect he didn't write it all, but it's very hush hush. And then Netflix picks it up and makes a documentary all about him right before, oh, hey, this brand new dude is now your vice president.
Not to mention all the connections. I mean, this is the nerd in us, right? But have you seen all the connections with Palantir and like Lord of the Rings?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, the Palantir is a very obvious metaphor.
Yeah.
The seeing stone that you can see anything, but when you look into it,
you see the worst thing possible.
Well, it corrupts your soul over time, right? And I mean, I was actually just talking to a real Lord of the Rings nerd 2 days ago, and she was telling me about how in the original Silmarillion, like the way back lore of the Lord of the Rings, they weren't always evil stones, but once they got corrupted by Sauron or something like that, like in the Lord of the Rings series, the Palantir is very much a tool of corruption that you can see everything, and you get turned to evil the more you look at it.
The more you look at it. And then there's the whole thing about like the dragon. What is the thing about, what's the dragon's name? The big Smog. There's something about Smog's mountain or something. I can't remember.
The Lonely Mountain?
I read it like yesterday.
It's the name of the mountain is what it is,
It's the name of one of
the Lonely Mountain. It's a different name.
But it's the name of one of their initiatives.
Yep.
And it's the initiative for the military.
Yep.
And I can't remember what it's called, but it's crazy.
And then also, was it Peter Thiel or JD Vance that founded Anduril Capital? They're very into their Lord of the Rings names.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a whole rabbit hole. And
Palantir.
like Peter Thiel, and here's the thing, is that like it's all gray areas, and it's all there's two sides to every coin, because I'm sure that Peter Thiel comes across as a smart guy. I'm sure that when you meet him in person, it's like you go to these political conferences. You go to AmFest and you meet these like, Con Inc. influencers, and you're perfect. Yeah, you can totally have a perfectly rational, wonderful conversation with these people. Some of them probably super nice, right?
Right.
Like for example, I've got a lot of sources in the Daily Wire and a lot of people that know Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh in my life that I know relatively well, or a little bit, or a lot,
Yeah.
And everything I hear is that Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh are wonderful humans, like totally the nicest people ever, totally great guys. But that doesn't necessarily mean that all their takes are great. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're working for a company that you love. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to compromise values that you hold in their own way. That's like, you know, like hell, there's people that like Ben Shapiro still, although I have a hard time finding them. But I just mean to say that like people within that world might meet Peter Thiel and think he's a great guy.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, when you're founding companies, when you have this kind of power, when you're leveraging this kind of money, you have to look beyond, is he a great guy? Like, what are they actually doing? What do they stand for? Who are they working for? Who
and
are
it's
they working
okay
with?
to do that. It's necessary.
It's your job. At least if you call yourself a journalist.
Yeah.
You know, if you
Well
want to
said.
be a cheerleader, cool, be a cheerleader. If you want to be a Trump loyalist, be a Trump loyalist. Just don't call yourself a journalist.
No.
Right?
Don't act like something. Yeah. Don't label yourself something you know you're
And to be
not.
fair, I don't really call myself a journalist either. I'm more of like a commentator, comedian. Like I'm more of like a shit talker, conspiracy theorist. Like,
Yeah. I don't know what I am.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
like I would call Whitney Webb a journalist, right? Like
I literally tell everybody I'm just a conspiracy theorist. It's safer that way. But man, all right. So what's the answer, Ian? What's the answer? Like, you know, is there an answer? I feel like the last, you know, the last several months and everything, I've gotten more to a point where I feel like I'm quote unquote, like, I hate to say this because I hate the terms, but it's like black pilled. Yeah. And it's just like, I'm kind of at a place where I do just believe that maybe everything is controlled. And it's like, even to the point where they kind of give us some victories and give us some wins to think that we're here. And it's like,
yeah,
you know, that comes from a very, there's no hope paradigm. But at the same time, the way I look at things, I'll tell you me first. The way I look at things is like, if it is truly controlled and there isn't really anything we can do about it, you have to focus on the things you can control.
bingo.
You, your family, your loved ones, their lives, their safety, their, you know, do your best to be a good person for people around you, serve your community. And like, I know that sounds really cliche or whatever, but like, it's the only thing I can come up with because it's the only thing that truly is in our control if everything is controlled. But what's your opinion?
Very similar. It's easy for it to seem hopeless and it's easy to get overwhelmed. And the more of this research you do, the more of this you learn, the more doom scrolling and rabbit holing you do, the more it does feel like, holy shit, we are so screwed. Especially like I'm researching for a whole deep dive on AI technology, the robots, the drones, all of it right now. And it's so dark. But I was talking to my girlfriend actually last night about this before the fireworks, about how like the honest truth is that the world might be screwed, but like I have put myself, I'm very fortunate. It's not like a lot of luck is involved, but I put myself in a place where I'm not really worried about my future. Like I feel good that I can take care of myself. Right. And I say that to say that is replicable for basically anyone, basically anywhere in your own way.
Like if you can do it, anybody can.
No, I don't mean that anybody can do what I do and what I did. What I mean is that everyone can look out for themselves and their community, their family first.
Yes.
Because ultimately, you don't change America by like tweeting at Trump. You don't change America by arguing on Twitter. You don't change America by like these grand plans as just us regular small people.
Right.
You change, America is a nation of us. We are America. We are the nation, right? And you change whole nations, you change whole cultures by changing individuals first. And so like, yeah, some people can change a lot of individuals. And if you have that power, if you have that influence, whatever you've got in your life to change as many minds as you can to be better people, do it. But you can always change yourself and you can weather any storm and you can become like anything you can imagine. And so ultimately, yeah, it comes back to first take care of yourself and make sure that you're good, right with God, healthy, happy, and have a goal, have a quest, have something challenging to achieve. Do hard things, become a strong person, go to the gym, eat well, do stuff, right? Yeah. Build, take care of your family, do the same for your family, protect them, build safety and security, build wealth, build capability for your family, build community, work outwards, right? Like change yourself first and then change those around you and then change those around you. And if the more of us that do that, the more our communities change from the bottom up, the more we all change from the ground up. And that's what's going on with, and just as an example, the Israel conversation right now is complicated. It's messy. It's vitriolic. It's tragic. But it's happening because everyone's eyes are being opened on their own, in their own world, with their own phones, with their own screens. And the way that you see that conversation shift, it can't be stopped. And we're going to go through it all together, figuring out what we all believe, because everyone's minds are being changed on that individual level. And so,
but that's important.
It's super important.
It's still important to talk about it. It's still important to, I had somebody ask me, and I'll ask you the same question. And then I'll answer it. I had somebody ask me the other day, if you know that there's really not a whole lot you can do to change things, why even bother doing what you do?
Good question.
Why even bother spending so much time and money and effort talking about these things and ranting online or having these conversations or whatever? If you know that there's really not a whole lot you can do, why not just stop and go focus on the things that you know you can control? And I'll ask you that question, and then I'll tell you my answer after.
My answer is a version of God, in the sense that if you're going to die anyway, why not kill someone? If they're going to die anyway, why not kill them? And the answer is because there's right and wrong in this world. And because the world, like, as a young person that was not raised with religion, for the longest time, my criticism of religion was, why all the evil in the world if God loves us, right? And the way that I answer that question personally is that God did not put us here. God did not build, this world was not made for it to be easy and fun and safe and good. This world was made for it to teach us what we need to learn, and for us to all grow through what we need to grow through, and be what we need to be together collectively to build the human race to where we're going to be.
Yep.
What we all are together, even beyond time, at the end of all things. And the battle between good and evil is in all of us, and it's in all of our culture. It's in all things that humans are and make. And you're never going to defeat evil, and evil's never going to defeat good. And then just like look at the most downtrodden people that should have failed and should have fallen, but ultimately rebellion always springs back up. Ultimately, left will never overtake right, right will never overtake left. Like ultimately these dualities are built in. And your job being on team good and team God is not to win. Your job is to fight. Because the point of humanity, the way I see it, is not for us to become perfect, but for us to strive. Because the point of learning, the point of growth is never to end, because there is no end. That's the nature of the journey. That's the nature of life. And the nature of fighting for good is not to vanquish evil. It's to fight evil, because there will always be more evil. There will always be more men, right? Yeah. And so your job is not to save the world. It's not to change the world, although those are noble intentions that you should intend to do. But realize that your job is just to do your best, to be your best, and to when you're on your deathbed looking back, will you be proud of your contribution to the shared experience, to the God, to the reality, to whatever it is you believe that you're about to go to that heaven? When you go on to that next realm and meet God, speak with the rest of us, meet your relatives, whatever it is you believe, are you going to be contributing a life that you're proud to walk up to them all and say, look what I did?
Well said. I love that. And I have a very similar answer. My answer was also kind of the same. It's like, if I don't, who will? Like, you know, there's a lot of people in the world that don't want to be involved and don't want to know the truth, quite frankly, and don't want to share it. And they're afraid of it or whatever. And it's like, I've been given a gift of having a community of people and having influence. And if I don't use that influence for something that's good, to be able to, you know, shine light on evil and fight for good, then what do I have it for? And it's very much aligned with what you said. Like, when I first started speaking up in 2020, when I decided to kind of flip everything upside down, fully aware that it might end everything I'd built for 10 years, because I had a pretty decent, you know, place. It came down to, what will I tell my boy 10 years from now? Bingo. What will I tell him if I knew I should have said something and I didn't? Yep. And it does. It comes down to good. It comes down to good and evil, and it comes down to whether or not you understand the importance of doing that. But I think it just also comes down to be aware of the evil, but it's being aware but not consumed. Yeah. And instead of allowing yourself to be consumed with the evil and all the things you know about the world, you turn that into action, like we've talked about in things outside of that with our families and things like that. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, find God. Whatever your God that you need is, find God. Yeah. Chase God, and always try to be better.
Well, dude, this has been awesome. amazing conversation. It's been so much fun. I want to just open it to you though really quick because I know you have some things going on with your buyer app.
Yeah.
And things like that. And I don't even say, the reason I say this is because it's not even so much to let you promote it, but it's because it goes along perfectly with what we're talking about. You're doing things right now that help us, all of us, in that pursuit of the things we can control.
Yeah, small ways.
So talk a little bit about that real quick.
So we're beta testing an app right now that we're going to release in about a month that takes all the like BlackRock grocery store aisle like kind of videos that I used to make and made for a long time and turns all those spreadsheets about like finding family and founder owned brands in the mega corporate mass of the grocery store. And it turns it all into an app. So you can just scan a barcode and find out like, oh, First Form owned by Andy, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So First Form owned by Andy, you scan it, boop, founder owned, right? You scan Fiji water, you'll find out who owns Fiji water. You scan anything in the grocery store, you'll find out who owns it, but you'll also get all the other stuff all the other apps do. Like what's the nutrition in it? You can filter out ingredients. You can filter for allergens. If you're on a diet, you can filter out dietary stuff you don't want.
Huge.
You can create shopping lists and pantry. Like you can turn it into a whole bunch of other stuff. Or you can just learn about who owns everything. And you can like, it's so fun now that we've got it working right, is like you can scan something and find out who owns that thing. But then you can like bop around through the different products and through the different ownerships and like learn a shitload about how this world really works and how the products in our lives really work. And so that's in beta testing right now. And it's going to go out. There'll be a free version that is like, because there's a lot of AI stuff that we have to pay on the back end to function that AI. So there's a free version that's a little simpler that has like the scanning features and some of the basics. Then there'll be a paid version that'll be pretty cheap that will have all this other AI capability built in. So stoked. And it's called Buyer. And you can go to buyerapp.com right now and you can sign up for the beta test right now if you want at buyerapp.com. Super stoked on it. And if you just want to wait until you can download it on the App Store and the Play Store, it's probably about a month away. Right now we're at July 5th. So I would assume that June, July, August, definitely by September. I don't want to put too much pressure on my developer because it's just me and two other dudes and we're just doing it all ourselves with no investment. No one's buying us. There's no sponsorship or like buying ratings or any shit like that. Everyone can go fuck themselves. It's just information.
That's awesome.
We won't sell out. So there's that. And if you want to keep up with me, I've got a website called cancelingandcarroll.com. If you want like some shirts, some merch, stuff like that. And I've got my YouTube channel is where I'm really focused right now. Social media can go fuck itself. My YouTube channel is Ian Carroll Show. And I am so stoked on my development of getting better at YouTube right now. And like,
which that's a lot because of the Candace show.
Leveling. Oh yeah. I learned so much from that whole team. I got new equipment. I'm doing it in a whole new way. And I'm super excited. I'm about to get real creative and do some new styles of videos and just start playing around and trying to like dive into big ideas and go deep. Yeah. So I'm stoked.
That's awesome, dude. I can't wait to see it. I mean, what you've been able to do with just a cell phone and freaking TikTok, like imagine what you can do with some high level cameras and crazy stuff. So dude, that's awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you. You guys can also get that eventually. I don't know when. We'll figure it out. You'll know when it drops.
Launch it. For now, it's all mine, baby.
Yeah. But no, thank you again for coming, dude. Yeah, genuinely, I appreciate it. You carve a lot of time out of your day. You have a lot of people asking for your attention, so it means a lot. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. Thanks.